Okay. Let's go. And what is up? Facebook, YouTube. What are we on? Kick. We're back streaming. I haven't been streaming for a while now. My headphones broke, so I think that had a lot to do with it. Let me just adjust this camera. Yeah, like my headphones broke. So I stopped streaming for a while, and I was like, yeah, it's probably a good idea to take a little bit of a break from streaming. Why not? So we're back. Oh, Rocco doesn't agree with me. We'll see who we get coming into the live. Rocco wants it a bit. Rocco, you want to come straight up? Fuck it, let's bring you straight up, bro. I'll use you to just test and make sure the mic and everything's working. Can you hear me?
I do not believe you that you are
Wait,
saying
hold
the
on.
USA
I'm getting.
the UK.
Okay, wait. I was getting feedback at the start, but I'm not getting feedback anymore. Okay. So where are you from, mate?
Doncaster.
Doncaster, one of the worst cities in the UK, by the way.
Oh my fucking god! I don't want to see that again, mate.
I mean, it is though, isn't it?
Well, can you get shot in Doncaster?
Yeah, you can.
No, you can't. Because I've not.
You haven't, but you can
No.
theoretically.
You could, but it would never happen in a million years because.
19th May.
Where are you from?
19th May. Investigation launched by South Yorkshire Police following firearms discharge in Doncaster, which has left a man with serious injuries.
What are you, Mr. Google?
No, I'm not Mr. Google. I'm Captain Google. Yeah, get it right.
No, it's not fucking right.
So-
the UK is the best country in the whole world, Rule Britannia.
So do you? I mean, in all seriousness, you would rather live in Doncaster than any of the top 50 major cities in the USA?
Of course I would, because I want to get shot every day.
What percentage of the population gets that happen to them every day?
Probably about 50%.
50.
America, I guess.
Oh my goodness. So you think that there's 150 million shootings a day in the USA?
Easy.
Oh man, that's that would
Whereabouts
include
are you from in America then?
that would include children and old people, right? How do
Well,
they
listen.
How do they have a
all I'm gonna
functioning
say, yeah,
economy if there's?
All I'm going to
150
say to you is, was there a certain financier from New York that was activated in the UK? No, it was America, wasn't it? Mr. Epstein was in American soil committing crimes against children. That was not in the UK. We would not let that shit happen in our country.
Wait, say that again. You said he was on American soil.
Yes. And a ranch in Nevada.
It says Epstein Island was a private island in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Yeah, I guess that's U.S.
US
soil.
Virgin Islands, of course.
U.S. foreign territory, not on the contiguous United
And
States.
Nevada. He had a ranch in Nevada as well. Google it.
So, is he the only PDF in the world? Are you saying there's no PDFs in the UK?
No.
There's no PDFs in the UK. So, are you saying you're not in the
Not
UK?
that I've
then?
seen. Not that I've seen.
So you're not in the UK. You're on holiday.
I'm in Doncaster.
You're in You're a nonce, mate. So how does that work?
Well, so now you're just personally attacking me, mate. That's not how a debate works.
No, it's just a joke, mate.
You better be joking, mate, honestly.
Why? What are you gonna do? Try and grape me?
Right, you're taking it too fucking far now, taking the fucking piss out of me, aren't you?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, your
You
opinion
look
is
like an
silly.
Arsenal fan. You
I'm-
look like an Arsenal fan.
Not really. I'm not really.
Here you are, you are.
I'm not really into football, but I can tell kind of that you're being facetious. I mean, that's really all you can do because you can't really raise any legitimate points. So I'm indulging you, but all you're doing is proving my point that you can't actually raise any legitimate reason why the UK is better than the USA, isn't it?
I don't even know what fucking facetious means, mate. What's that? Can I die it?
That UK education system, eh?
GCSEs, I've got 15.
15, that's quite a lot. I only have 11.
Get it up, you mate.
Do they do 15 GCSEs these days?
Well, I did.
Oh, okay. Did you get a GCSE in retardation? What did you get in your GCSEs, mate?
You can't do a class called retardation, mate. I hope you should know that if you came to the UK school.
What
School did you even go to, mate?
I went to the Latimer School in Edmonton.
Oh, you posh.
Yeah, I am, aren't I? What did you get in your GCSEs?
I got a boy in maths,
A what?
a B.
Okay.
I got a B in English as well.
Okay.
I then got a C in French.
Okay. So I smoked
I
you. I smoked you in GCSEs basically. Then
You only got 11, mate. I got 15.
I got
also
11. I got
an
11.
A, I
but
got an A in home economics.
But I got 10. I got 10 A's and an A star, mate. Smoked.
No, well, you got 11, mate. I'll get 15.
Yeah, but if you do the sum total.
What, did you get smoked like Charlie Kirk?
No, I mean, why bringing up Charlie Kirk?
Because he's dead, mate.
What's that got to do with the conversation?
Because America's shit.
Is it?
Yes.
Have you ever been there?
I've been multiple times.
Why do you
Business
go?
bars in America.
Why do you go there if it's shit?
Cincinnati. I've been Cincinnati. I've been Seattle a few times as well. Got family over there.
Why do you go there if it's shit?
Just a good family there, mate.
But if it's so terrible, why would you? Did you get shot when you went there?
No.
So you're statistically like far less likely than the average citizen to get shot. If you said that you think there's 150 million shootings a day, don't you think that if you'd been there multiple times, you would have been shot by now?
No, but I've seen a shooting before in America. Of course I have.
Really?
I see one every second day, mate.
That's interesting.
I'll be sleeping in my hotel room. All I hear was this brat, 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 and always the guns going off.
That doesn't mean someone
I
got.
thought it was fucking the 4th of July. Is that many fucking fireworks going off?
That doesn't mean someone got hit.
Oh, they don't miss where I was from. Where I was, and they don't fucking miss, mate.
Oh, so he wasn't in the hood? Because they miss a lot in the hood.
No, it was 2-1 for Rudy, mate.
Let's move on, because I can't take you serious, mate. Unfortunately, as soon as you say Doncaster, I was like, oh man, he's impoverished.
What's wrong with Doncaster?
He has a poverty. He has a poverty of circumstance as well as a poverty of mind. So that's why I was like, I can't take you serious, lad.
Well, I'm also actually, my mother's from Glasgow, so I'm also half Scottish.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on.
You can't talk shit about Glasgow because they would honestly mess you up, man.
No, I know they do a lot of stabbing in Glasgow as well. Actually, okay, let's get to some of the comments. Everyone says he's back. Yes, I'm back. Gemma with the G. Motel room next to us got shots fired in. Oh dear, that must have been absolutely traumatizing. It's not true at all by any metric. We can talk metrics. Let's get the likes up as well. Someone mentioned I only have 1 like. What's up, guys? Come on, I need some of my regulars to up the likes. You can't be embarrassing us out here, man. We're representing each other. So if my likes are low, it's gonna make you look bad. You patronizing the live with low likes. Like, what are you doing? You just sat there looking. That makes you seem noncy. Because you're just watching a live of 1 like, that makes you seem nonsense. You got to get the likes up so that it looks like you're in a crowd of people that like all are like are doing something that's legit. Ditchell says better healthcare. How? Lower crime rate, free healthcare, lower cost of living. All of those things. So free healthcare is not real. Lower crime rate. Yeah, the crime rate is higher in the USA, and lower cost of living doesn't make sense unless you talk about people's ability to afford the cost of living. So yeah, Cece says hair's looking good. Oh, appreciate. Yeah, I've been getting. Actually, a lot of people said they didn't like this hairstyle. Like a lot of the girls, they said, oh, they didn't really like my hair. But I think it's just because they like my other hairstyle more because I look more like wild. But obviously, I just need a retwist, innit? But I can't fucking go anywhere without girls trying to fucking talk to me now. I don't know what's happened. Anyways, rave scene alone makes UK better. Rave scene? That's like fucking. Who goes raving past the age of like 25? Like, come on, man. I remember when I was like 18, 19, or 17, 18, 19, I used to go to them raves. No, it was early. I think it was like, 17, 18. I used to go to them raves. And there would be like 28-year-olds there, and I'm just like, get a fucking life. 28-year-olds. Go home to your wife and children. Hide your wives and girlfriends. Exactly, Temmie. Let them know. Carla says one thing that's better in the US is the class culture is much stronger in the UK. Yeah, UK is a much more classy society. BH says, what language you speaking, mate? I'm speaking broken English. Actually, no, my English is pretty good. I'm speaking English. Movie clip special says you shouldn't have to pay for healthcare or dental, full stop, regardless where you are. Why? Be interesting to know why you think that. Young man, 28 ain't old. No, I know. I'm 29. I'm saying I wouldn't go to like an illegal rave. I'm assuming that's what he means when he says rave, because most people don't just call normal shubs or normal like nightclubs. They don't call that raves, unless you're talking about the yardie raves. That's different. But I'm assuming he meant like the illegal raves. Oh, okay. What raves are you talking about? Do I live in America? No. Funny joke. Abolish both nations. Wisconsin. I don't know much about Wisconsin. I don't think I'd want to go there. That's where Milwaukee is, right? Only thing I know about there, they've got like the Kia boys. Millie says at least we don't eat fake cheese every day. Yeah, the cheese is definitely better in the UK. USA is unironically better than the UK. Yeah. Actual raves, warehouse projects, or even the various festivals. Oh, okay, yeah. I'm down to go to like festivals, and I don't know what warehouse project is, but Stephanie B says our education is so expensive, our medical is insane. Sadly, it turns out there's plenty of racism. Medical, I wouldn't call it insane. It's probably overpriced though. But medical everywhere is overpriced because of universities and the pharmaceutical cartels hiking up the prices, and they're in bed with government and political lobbyists to exploit the people with stuff that a lot of the times we don't need. So that's why medication costs so much, is because it's a racket. So it has nothing to do with the fact that it's privatized, even though obviously political lobbying tends to be easier when you're dealing with privatized healthcare. But it could still easily be addressed through central government. So I don't think that that's why the healthcare is bad, is simply because it's private. It's because pharmaceutical companies are corrupt and universities are corrupt. At least we didn't support who supported anyway. Who abolished the slave trade? Oh, that was the British, right? But the slave trade is still going on, obviously, just not the transatlantic slave trade. I mean, most people are slaves now, aren't they? Because they are slaves to big corporations. Mate, you're not even British anyways. I think you'll find I am British. Cece says, is it white girls that don't like your hair like that? No, it's just, so you gotta remember, Cece, like this is more of like a neat style. So what I had before, when my hair was out, I looked more like wild. So I shaved as well, so I had like a goatee. So some girls like that wild look, because I look like rah rah, you know what I mean? Now I look more like a girl with a big forehead. But I'm gonna take this style out in a few days, to be fair. I look younger and innocent. Yeah, I shaved. Everyone thinks I'm like 20 now. No, yeah, people tell me they think I'm like 20 now. Even the slight possibility your kid could get shot at is in school is the only reason you need. I mean, how slight of a possibility does one need in order to become neurotic about the prospect of their child getting shot? Hey bro, do I live in USA yet? No, but I think as the days go on, the prospect of me becoming a US resident grow ad infinitum, mainly because of the steps I'm taking, the connections I've made, and my savings are going up, getting that shmona, getting that shmoola, getting that shmoney and the shmoola. Sorry, gotta be grammatically correct. The shmoney and the shmoola. Yeah. So yeah, getting that coin, which is gonna enable me eventually to move. So I'm anticipating 1.5 to 2 years. Without US, you wouldn't exist. How do I relocate? E2 visa, mate. In terms of what America has, atrocious gun laws and politics. America has the best gun laws in the world, and probably, I wouldn't say it has the best political system in the world, but all the countries with the best political system are based on the US political system. What do I do for work? I run a business making silicone products, and I do legal assistant work for some people as well. NHS is obviously already 100% private. No, it's not. It's the most socialized system in the entire world. Amanda at the beach says USA is not better than the UK. The USA can't even spell properly. Lol. Should we get another guest up? Let's get another guest up. Okay, who we got? Okay. Is that the non-binary logo? I thought everyone had outgrown that shit. Anyway, how long to get E2? It's a pretty quick approval rate.
Hello?
It has 80% approval. You just need the money. What's up?
Hello?
How are you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's so yes, I can hear you.
Great.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so the USA is definitely better than the UK. When you look at UK stuff, it's so terrible. They try to cosplay Americans. Like the girls try to The white tea girls try to look like the white tea sorority girls in America. The Africans in the UK try to look like black American girls.
Hey,
The black the black boys in Africa, the African Nigerians, they try to look like they wear the ski mask. They try to wear it like there's no reason. There is no reason for a what's it called, a British boy to be wearing a ski mask. Y'all don't
wait,
get down like that.
wait.
There's no danger.
So you're saying that you have a problem with British girls saying "clock that tea"?
Yeah, 100%. They're trying to cosplay. Like they're trying to cosplay, and it's just sad because my thing is my mom is African. You know, I'm Black American and African, but my whole thing, I see a lot of African people, like girls, you know, your parents don't raise you like that. Like they try to
Yeah.
be American so bad. Like they don't y'all are not raised to be like, oh, periods. It don't even sound right with the accent. But I have a
I agree.
question though.
One sec. I agree that there's a lot of like cultural exports from the USA. I don't think that people are trying to be like the USA. It's just that the USA has such an influence on world culture. It's like, for example, if I said like, "Oh, you're wearing a suit and tie that comes from Europe. You're trying to be European." Well, you're not. It's just that comes from Europe. Do you get it?
Well, that's a little broad though. That's different because it's a specific, like the specifics of it. Like for example, using AAVE, like Black American slang, it does not translate to the British language. It doesn't sound right, and and they use it wrong. They're like,
Thanks,
I'm
Justina.
finna,
Yeah,
I'm
but
lit. Like
the reason, but okay,
it doesn't sound
it's
right.
not going to sound right to you, but you got to understand that like London, Manchester, Birmingham, these are cultural centers of the world. So if you live in these places, you're going to have relatives abroad and stuff. You're going to consume content from America. America obviously has Hollywood and Atlanta and all of these like places where there's a lot of like music and stuff generated. America's like the number one place to become a musician. So being influenced by that, I don't think means that those people want to be American or like Americans.
They do.
I don't
But
think
they
they
do
do.
though.
I don't
But
think they
the
do.
thing is, Emma, you said that. You said it doesn't have to sound right or it's not going to sound right to me. That's like
Yeah.
us over here doing British accents and it just sounds terrible. When you hear Americans do British accents, you know, you would be like, what the heck are y'all talking about? So it's the same thing. UK people need to understand that they will be nothing without American culture, Black American culture. I'm sorry. Now, when I see y'all with the African culture, I love it. I love when y'all are proud of y'all's
Well,
African and Caribbean
they wouldn't be
culture.
nothing without American culture. They're just influenced by it. Like you got to understand,
They're
like
heavily influenced.
everywhere
The
is
grills.
influenced by everywhere. It's just that America has the most cultural
No.
influence over the world of any other place. So it's not that
No,
people are
Black
trying
Americans,
to be.
though.
I mean, Black Americans have a disproportionate influence in America. So put it this. I think a lot of Black Americans, you guys overcomplicate it. It's just that you guys are cooler than other people. So people try and be like cool people, but they're not. Or people emulate cool people, but they're not trying to be like. If you did a poll of most British citizens, they're not really favorable towards America. They don't really agree with a lot of cultural aspects. They don't like the healthcare system. That's why I do this live. You'll find from talking to British citizens that most British people don't really like America. Like if you did a poll of every country in the world, I feel like Britain, Germany would have the least favorability towards America of probably many countries. But obviously when you have the cultural exports, like there's cultural exports from Britain as well to America, there's cultural exports from Britain to other places in the world, but I don't think it means that they're trying to be like them. That's what I'm saying.
So first of all, I actually lived in Germany for 4 years because of the military, and I just got back from there because I have family over there. And when I tell you the black German girls and even the white German girls, they try. Yes, their fashion. They completely forget about their own country's fashion. They forget about their Nigerian fashion. They forget about their Irish fashion, and they literally try to look like Black American girls.
Yeah, but
Like it's literally
but
you can go on you can go on the TikTok, Instagram. You see them trying to talk like Black
but
Americans, trying to dress like them, trying
flip
to
that right
emulate
back.
them.
Like where are the most prominent
No,
fashion
you
houses?
can't.
Yeah, of course you can. Where are the most prominent fashion houses in the world that all of the Black American celebrities get their clothes from? Italy,
Where?
London, Europe. They're all in
Not
Europe.
at all.
What do you mean? Where does Gucci?
No,
Where does Gucci come
no.
from? Where does Louis
But
Vuitton come
what
from? What are you talking about?
what are you talking about, Gucci? Look, first of all, the fashion, right? We're not talking about the specific pieces because if that's the case, why didn't Italy and them? Why didn't they come up with the same fashion that we have if
They
they have
did.
the option to?
They
No,
did.
they
That
did not.
Americans get that fashion from Europe.
No, whoa. Black Americans get their fashion from Europeans. You see how
Yeah.
the Europeans used to dress like in the 1970s, in the 1980s, the
Yeah.
grills, the what's it called? The jeans, the hip hop fashion. You're saying Black Americans got hip hop fashion from Europeans?
Not
That's
from
the most craziest
Europeans,
thing you ever
from
said.
European. Okay, let me read out. I'm going to read to you the top 10 fashion houses in the world. I'm sure you're familiar with all of these. Louis
You're
Vuitton.
talking
Wait, hold
about
on, hold on, hold on, hold on.
brands.
Louis
You're
Vuitton.
talking
Hold
about
on, hold on, hold on.
brands.
Louis Vuitton, yeah? Chanel, Hermes, Dior, Gucci, Prada, Ralph Lauren, Yves Saint Laurent, Balenciaga, and Loewe. I don't know if I said that right. All of those, other than Ralph Lauren, are in Europe. So you're
You're
saying
talking about brands, not fashion.
the
Those are two
brands are
different
based
things.
in Europe. They make the
No,
clothes.
listen,
They come up
Ava,
with those
that's
clothing
like
styles.
so we're saying, right? Oh, since China wears the clothes, China is responsible for all of the fashion senses in the
China
world.
doesn't
They're the ones who
create
made
and
hip-hop.
design. China doesn't
So
create
that's
and
the thing.
design the clothes.
Just because, look, there's a difference between manufacturing a brand and designing.
They're
the
not the
style.
manufacturers.
talking
They're
about-
the designers.
Listen, we're talking about the style.
The
You're trying to
style
make
is
it so
created in
objective.
Europe.
You're no, it is not.
What are you
hip-hop
talking about?
Fashion was created in Europe. Hip hop fashion was created in
No,
Europe.
I'm
that
saying-
came off the streets of New York.
I know, but I'm
That
saying
came off in the 1980s.
no. But listen to what I'm saying, because you're not connecting the different points. The point I was
No,
raising.
you're trying to make it more broad than what it is.
listen, the point I was raising is that different places influence each other to create a culture. So hip hop culture obviously is a stylistic implementation of American culture mixed with like mainly just say Black American culture. Obviously there's influences from other places, right? But when you're talking about hip hop fashion is heavily influenced by European fashion houses. If you look
Where? Show them.
like
Show me a
100%,
specific style.
100%. No. The style.
So you're telling me they
is
were wearing? You're telling me
created.
they were wearing Air Maxes in Europe?
No, the style.
That they were rocking
but that's
Jordans and grills
Nike.
in Europe?
No, but that's Nike. Nike is obviously American, right? But
so-
I'm saying
so, but my
the
thing, you're
style
missing the
comes.
point.
No, listen. The style comes from taking things from different places and then putting them together. That's where a style. That's how where the culture
So you're
comes
trying
from.
to give credit to Europe. Well, Black American culture fashion would be nothing without the white people who made it a thing. Like you're trying to make it too broad. We're talking about how the style developed, not who made the clothes, what Asian child made the fabric.
No, I'm not talking
We're
about who's
the style
manufacturing.
itself.
But you're
Because
missing
wait,
the
hold
point
on,
of the
Emma.
fact that
The
there's a
thing
difference between a
is-
manufacturer and someone who designed the things. I'm talking about who actually created the styles and designed them. Fair enough. You can take them.
In Europe.
Yeah.
Show me in Europe. Show me a picture of them dressed in how a Black Americans dressed before we did it in New York.
Yeah.
Show me a picture.
I can show you that. It's called a runway show.
Do it. Let's see. Let's
It's
see.
called.
Let's
Have you ever heard of a runway show?
Yeah. So they were rocking big jeans, big jerseys, the hats. The white people created it before Black people did. What are you talking about?
Well, the black people influenced the fashion, of course, and then the fashion houses also influence the fashion and create the fashion. It's an interplay.
They did not
if you got
create
rid
the
of
fashion. What are you talking about?
they create the designs. They create
It
the
started
designs.
in New York, in the United States. You're trying to say, it started in Europe.
No, I'm
Show
not
me a
saying
picture
hip-hop.
of them
I'm
rocking
not saying
grills,
hip-hop.
Of them rocking the nails the nail what's it called? Fashion that we have, the big jeans, the like anything. If you look up hip hop, you're trying to say the Europeans they got it from Europe. What
I
type
didn't
of
say they
junk
got
is
it from
that?
Europe. I think you have like
That's
kind of
what
poor.
you're saying.
You have like kind
What
of
you're
poor
saying is
listening
irrelevant.
comprehension. Your comprehension's
what you're
really
saying
poor.
is irrelevant. What you're
So,
saying is irrelevant.
okay,
Why
so-
would you try to tie that back to Europe?
Okay, it's been really obvious what I'm saying. I feel like you just don't want to.
But there's no point to bring that up because you're trying to. It's basically saying, well, you can't really say they created it because
I
if you
didn't
wanna
say
get
that they didn't
technical,
create
it started
it.
in Europe.
I didn't say they didn't create it. I said that there's influences on US fashion that come from
But
Europe.
that's trying to take the credit away from what Black people did on their own. Mind you, Black
Well, they didn't do it
Americans
on their
created
own. They were also
culture. Yeah,
influenced by other cultures as well.
they didn't do it on their own. So why didn't
So-
the other cultures do it? Why
They do
didn't they
do
do
it.
it? What are you talking about?
They do it.
Who? Where?
Like
Show
white
me a picture.
Americans, Europeans, they also create
No,
cultures
no,
and
white
fashion.
Americans got that from Black Americans.
So are you saying that
They
Black
got it from
Americans,
Black
did Black
Americans.
Americans create suit and ties?
what are you talking about? A suit and tie? What are you talking about?
That's what I'm saying. You have like poor comprehension skills.
They had, first of all, if you want to get historical, right? Suits and ties were forced onto our people, and during the slaves' time, right? suits and ties. There was what's it called? There were laws that said you had to put on a suit and tie to get to work. So
Okay.
you can't talk
What
about
about jeans?
well, did they create?
What about
What are you
jeans?
talking about?
Did black
Jeans were
Americans
created in China. They were created in. That doesn't
Really?
mean anything. Why do
So-
you want to get
so
to the
you-
history of things?
Your whole point is that people in Europe wear clothes and fashion styles that come from black Americans, which is true.
They do.
And I'm
Yes, they
telling
do.
you that black Americans also wear clothes and fashion styles that come from Europe and other countries.
No, they do
I just
not.
gave you multiple examples: jeans,
Why do
suit
you
and
not
ties,
understand
European
this? No,
fashion.
no, no,
Like,
no.
what are you
There's
talking
a
about?
difference between creating jeans and creating the style around the jeans. Just because you created
But you're
the
still
jeans, they were not
influenced.
rocking the way the jeans were. They weren't bedazzling their
No,
jeans.
they weren't. That's
putting
why
the-
it's a cultural interplay. They created, so they might create jeans.
look,
They might
it's
hold
the
on.
style.
They might create jeans and wear them in a normal way. And then black Americans might take the jeans and wear them in a different way and put them together
and
with
it's
different
called
pieces.
so they
It's a
created that
cultural-
style.
But they couldn't have created the style without the jeans already existing. So it's a cultural interplay.
Duh, that's anything. You can't create the fruit without the seed. What's the point of bringing
That's
that up? You're
the
trying to
point.
take away from what black Americans
I'm
did.
not trying to take away from it. I'm saying it's
irrelevant. That's
also
like-
influenced by other cultures.
That's like, let's say a black person starts a business. Well, they wouldn't have that if the colonizers didn't come to America and discover the land in the first place. You see
What?
how irrelevant that sounds?
How is it
That's-
irrelevant
it's
that the
very
literal
irrelevant
thing that
to
you were
bring up the
wearing was
fact,
designed in another country?
like,
How is that
Black
irrelevant?
Americans made the fashion around the Air Max Jordan. Well, it wouldn't mean nothing since the Chinese people made the
Really?
shoe.
Did
or-
a black
or
American
NBA
did a
players,
black American did a
Allen
black
Iverson,
did a
right?
black American
The black
design
American created
did a
that-
black
that
American
made the
design the Air
basketball
Maxes?
fashion?
Did a black American
Well,
design?
if white people didn't make
Did-
the NBA, then black people wouldn't have taken over. Like it's
Exactly.
just you're bringing up broad. So we should just thank white people for everything, thank Europeans for everything.
No, I think you
even
should
though
stop
we
being
started the
ignorant.
fashion.
You should stop being ignorant because you're very
No,
ignorant.
you're being ignorant.
No, you're ignorant because
you're failing
let me
to
explain. Let me explain.
understand that black Americans created the culture. You're trying to make it seem like, oh well, no, they got
I
it from
didn't say that.
the colonizers
no,
that
no,
came.
no. You're silly. I
There's
didn't
no
say
point
that.
to
I
bring
didn't
that
say
up.
that they didn't create the culture of hip hop. I said that the culture.
No, fashion.
Don't interrupt.
The
please.
fashion. The
The
hip hop
culture
fashion.
of hip hop and the fashion of hip hop is also influenced by other places. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that they didn't create it. I'm
So
saying.
what's the point to bring it up though?
Well, the point to bring it up is your whole point is that we're trying to be like black Americans because we are culturally influenced by black Americans.
Yes, y'all are.
But I'm saying you're culturally influenced by other places, but that doesn't mean you're trying to be like them.
No,
the point is
that
flying over your head.
You can say so. Wait. So listen. So you think that white people have the right to speak like a black person, to put on their clothes, to put the braids in their hair? Because at the end of the day, the Vikings wore braids, right?
What are you talking about?
No. Based on what you just said, you think that a regular white Southern man should have the right to put cornrows in his hair and should have the right to talk like a black person? Because at the end of the day, without white people, black
What do you mean
people
talk like
wouldn't
a
have
black
been in
person?
America. What are you talking about?
Are you talking about like
AAVE.
African American? Okay. So yes, they have
put braids in their hair.
yes, they have the
grills,
right to do that. Yes, they have the right to do that.
Okay, yeah. And now I know who I'm talking to. Obviously, now I know. Now
Are
I
you
know
saying
who
they
I'm talking
shouldn't
to.
have the right to do that? Should it
Now
be
I know who
illegal?
I'm talking to.
Should it be illegal?
Now I'm because it's just crazy. You're trying to say, oh well, what's it called? Black Americans don't have their own culture because
didn't say that.
It came from Europeans. Like,
I didn't
doesn't make
say.
any
Let's
sense.
move on because you low comprehension skills.
Goodbye.
Let's move on. Like okay. Anyway, I like having these conversations, but I need to talk to someone that has like decent like ability to comprehend what is being responded. You can make your points. We can agree. I mean, I was basically agreeing with her anyway. You can make your points, but if you can't comprehend the response, there's no point having a conversation. Braids are from Vikings and no, well, braids may be from wherever you think they are, but at the end of the day, African Americans popularized most braid hairstyles. That's a fact. I'm just saying that just because people are influenced by African Americans doesn't mean African Americans aren't influenced by anywhere else. They obviously are influenced by other places as well. They disproportionately contribute to culture, of course. But that doesn't mean that everybody that emulates that culture is trying to be like them. It means that they fuck with, enjoy, like, think is cool, something that was created by black Americans. There's no need to get an ego about that because the British, I think, probably British and Jamaicans probably have the most ability to flex about everyone being influenced by them. Like, they're tiny islands. Like, there's no two places that have more disproportionate influence on the world for their size than Britain and Jamaica. Period. You're going to get mad at me saying period, aren't you? Full stop. The UK used to be mint, it's all in to shut down. nobody's influenced by the Brits. She says while using technology created by the Brits. You're absolutely slow. You're slow. The problem is that a lot of the culture of like Europeans, mainly British, is much less boisterous. It's much less conspicuous. So what Brits do when they create things is they tend not to just brag about them and flex on them. Americans and Black Americans have a more braggadocious culture. So Brits will create something and be like, oh yes, indeed, we did do that. And then they'll shut up about it. Black Americans will do something and they'll never shut up about it. We did this, we did that. Okay. Brits have had probably more influence on world culture than Black Americans have. But Black Americans have a significant influence on world culture. Anyway, Name Yourself has said, I have a genuine question. Sykes is so bored you got to start the debate. So bored you got to sit here and watch him. Balvi Smollock. She's literally talking in a white language. Oh, but she's going to say language has nothing to do with culture. Like, you can speak someone's language and not be influenced by the culture. Bullshit. She's like, wait, this is hilarious. She's like, people use African American vernacular English, which means that they're trying to be like African Americans. I'm like, okay, so does that mean that you using English means you're trying to be like English people? What? What's up, Ollie?
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alright, hello. I wasn't listening much in the last part.
Okay.
I'm on the side of, I think both countries are pretty corrupt in their own ways, and I don't like either, but when I did start listening a bit, it sort of sounded like you were, well, it says behind you the USA is better, but it sort of sounded like you were defending the UK a bit, so what side are you on?
I wasn't defending the UK. I was defending I was defending common sense. I was defending deductive reaning. Like, you can make a point, but if your point is illogical, then that doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you when you're being illogical. Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I was hoping. Alright, okay, so should I make like a starting point and then we sort of branch off that?
Sure.
Okay, first things first, I'm not going to go into, I mean, I'm quite passionate about politics in America and UK, but I won't go into that because that's a long conversation. So I think the first thing to mention is, in the US, the problems with food and obesity and regulations against chemicals. I think it's quite bad over there, and especially when you look at countries.
Sorry, go
say
on.
Again?
No, I was saying hi to someone. Go on, sorry.
Oh, yeah, it's especially apparent when you look at countries like Japan. I think it was Japan, maybe it's China, where their population is very skinny because of their good food regulation and things like this.
Okay. I mean, they also have a genetic component in terms of like their muscle mass, as to why they're slimmer. But
I didn't know that.
Yeah, of course. You know, it's an interplay between diet and genetics, of course. But yeah, I mean, I would agree with you that a lot of the food in America that's like mass, that's consumed by a lot of people, isn't ideal, isn't good. I don't think it's necessarily a food regulation thing, because even in the UK, there's foods that if you ate them every day, you'd become sick. I don't think the government necessarily needs to step in and tell people you should eat this or you shouldn't eat this. I mean, unless it was literally like being pumped into everything by a big corporation, then obviously that would be an issue. But there's still, I mean, the USA probably has the most food variety in the entire world. So just because bad food exists doesn't mean that you can't also find other food that, you know, you want to eat. Nobody's forcing you to eat McDonald's every day. I mean, unless you're literally like a brainlet that can't, that has no resistance to television adverts, and like you see McDonald's and you're like, I have to only eat McDonald's now. I mean, that would be an issue in any country if someone is that low IQ that they can't make decisions about what food they want to eat. And in a case like that, they should probably have like a carer that like prepares their food for them. So I don't think that that's an issue of, oh, well, simply because this food exists and isn't regulated by the government, that means that the USA is worse. I think that the USA is a more deregulated place in many aspects, and that can have pros and cons. At the con side, obviously, people that are like brainlets are obviously going to be unable to make good decisions about what to do about things. But then on the plus side, deregulation means that people can have freedom of choice.
Yeah. Two things. What would you, first of all, would you agree that these sort of, because in countries like Japan, they focus on in like convenience stores. A lot of the food, or at least the majority of the food, is focused on being sort of health over anything. And in America and like Western, like more like America and the UK, they sort of they don't that like I'm not sure if it's really regulation or like I'm not sure what you'd put that towards, but they sort of convenience stores are like they sort of just sell whatever people will buy the most, which obviously from business perspective that's what you got to do. But
No,
I
no.
mean,
There's of
you
course there's
know,
loads of food regulations. They're just somewhat different food regulations. I mean, there's things in the UK that are banned in the USA that aren't banned in the UK. Most people, when they have this discussion, they're talking about things like high fructose corn syrup, red 40, stuff like that. I mean, whether you consume high fructose corn syrup or you consume, soft drinks without high fructose corn syrup, if you have soft drinks every day, that's probably not going to be good for your teeth and your blood sugar. So, I think it's a fair point, but I think it's a bit of a moot point in the grand scheme of things when you're talking about where it would be better to live and like raise children and have a prosperous life. In both countries, you can choose to eat good food or you can choose to eat bad food. I think that suffice
yeah.
it to say that.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm gonna move
Um,
to your next point.
yeah, so okay, there's the food. I just got to think what else. I had some other points. Oh yeah, the education system. It's sort of difficult because, I mean, both are flawed in their own ways. But I would say, from a lot of things I've seen, there's been sort of maybe recent um talking of kids don't really get the sort of help, and they've sort of grown up in a culture in I'm not sure if it's fair to say like the majority of America, or I'm not sure, but it's just things I've seen of in a lot of schools teachers are like making sort of they're making people aware that kids there's a lot of kids that just aren't really getting education at all because none of them are listening, and a lot of kids are like at high ages are not even being able to read because the system is so it's like it's so flawed in that like it's not really giving like children things that they need in the way that I feel like the UK school does well sometimes, and I feel like that's a big problem
Let me
because
let me let me ask
especially
let me ask just quickly, like, what do you think
yeah
the purpose of the education system is?
um I think well maybe not what it is but what it should be is it should grow kids up to be able to choose which direction they want to point their life towards. It's almost like it gives them a certain amount of knowledge to which take to some other place in the future.
Great,
That's what I think.
perfect answer. And obviously, in America, people have more ability to choose what direction they want their life to go in the UK. So when you talk about failures of the education system, if you have a superior outcome of what the education system is supposed to produce in the USA, then how can you say that the education system is failing? Even if you have lower literacy rates, or even if you have discrete issues in schools and things like that, the outcome of people being educated in the USA is still creating a society where people are more prosperous.
Uh, yeah, wait, I kind of completely zoned out.
Okay, so think about
Sorry,
it like this.
I have
Imagine
ADHD, so
I have like person one and person two. Person one gets one style of education, person two gets another style of education. Now, what you're basically saying
yeah.
is, well, person one's education is failing, but then if you look at person one, and person one has more freedom of choice, more ability to choose different jobs, less likely to be unemployed, more likely to earn more likely to have the positive outcomes of education, and then person two is failing, even though, according to you, you're saying they had a better education. Who is actually better off? Because you're critiquing the American education system, which is a ubiquitous system where almost everyone goes through it, right? But the people going through the American education system are ending up with better life outcomes than the people going through the UK education system. Save for
I mean, I'd
perhaps
like
life
to.
expectancy, which is like 2 year difference now, 2 year discrepancy now. But I don't know if that's necessarily caused by the education system. But for everything that you could argue is caused by the education system, US citizens are faring better than UK citizens.
Okay, well, I would like to ask Oh, like what sort of thing? Well, what makes you say that? Like, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just like,
Well, like things like a person's ability to have influence in local politics, a person's ability to own their own home, a person's ability to provide for their family, a person's ability to remain in employment, a person's ability to have a wide or diverse range of employment options to choose from, a person's ability to be an entrepreneur, a person's ability to invest in the stock market, and on and on and on. All of those things are better in the USA. And those are supposed to be the outcomes of someone being educated.
all right, yeah, I get that. I mean, it's hard to me to go further with that point either way because I'm not like super educated on the things that you're saying anyway. So, I mean,
Bit
yeah,
ironic, innit? Should have gone to America, mate. Should have got educated in
yeah. I
America.
mean, I guess,
I'm just playing.
yeah.
Did you have any other points you wanted to raise? We got some other people waiting to join the chat.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind passing it on. The main things are just politics, but that's just way too big to get into, really.
True that, true that. All right, man. Thanks for your perspective. I appreciate you, bro.
Yeah,
All
thanks.
right, all
See
right.
ya.
Guys, remember to tap the screen and like the live. We've got 2.9k likes. I feel like we should have way more than that. We should really be on like 10k right now. We've got 84 people in the live. Obviously, I'm back. So it's my first live back for a while. We're streaming right now live on Kick, obviously TikTok, and we're also on Facebook and YouTube. So mess with me. My YouTube is State of Deception. I actually have some interviews coming out on State of Deception soon. Obviously, these lives are available to watch back on State of Deception when I clip them up. Kick, someone said they can get me verified on Kick, so I'm trying to pursue that avenue. And then obviously, if you have any personal qualms or requests, you can message me on Facebook. My name's Ama Maduaka, AMA, surname Maduaka. You can add me, and you can also watch the live streams on Facebook. So, but if you're on TikTok, please like the live, send the gifts, whatever. My TikTok's been quite stagnant recently. I think everyone says this, been shadow banned. I say it every live, but I've been stuck on 29.9k for like really long. So it would be great if people could follow me, share my content, because it's really bugging me being stuck. Because I'm like, should I continue producing content if the algorithm isn't gonna push it, right? So I need people to actually support if they appreciate the content. Aisha says UK offers free healthcare. False. More worker protections. Yes, but I don't think that all of the protections are good for society. Lower levels of serious violent crimes. Correct. Guns. Need I say more? I know guns are amazing. Oh, I'll have a debate. Name wants to debate. Okay. No UK, there be no USA. England colonized the land. Yeah, true. But kind of relevant, isn't it? Oh, I accidentally brought Izzy up. I was meant to bring up. Okay, I don't know if Izzy's gonna connect. Let me try and bring this up. Oh, Izzy's connected, so we'll just
Hello.
I'll just mute you for a second, name, and then we can.
I'm
speak
just
to
gonna
Izzy for a
give
sec.
you.
How old are you, Izzy?
Yeah, okay. I'm 14, but
Oh,
I
sorry.
think it's like
Sorry,
beneficial.
I don't debate kids. I'm sorry about that. What's up, name? And that wasn't disrespectful to you, by the way. I just have a rule that I don't debate under 18s. What's up, name?
So, also when I joined the live originally, you were on about cultures.
No, so my proposition is that for the average person, it's much better to live in the United States, and that most Brits would have a much better life and lifestyle if they moved to the United States.
Okay. Considering, look, I've noticed with the US, a lot of you, well, obviously, a lot of you get made fun of across a bunch of countries, such as any country in Europe makes fun of the United States, specifically for education,
Okay.
like geography.
Geography? What do you mean?
A lot of you get dunked on specifically for like geography, simple, basic geography. Some of you
Oh, like people not knowing
will
about
get
other
asked
countries. Oh, I get
in
you.
America, like you'll have all these TikTok.
I get you.
Yeah, like they're different countries and what, or they think there are 8 continents.
There are actually 7, but go on.
Yeah, there is.
Europe is not actually.
I
a
was
real
like saying that as an
continent,
example.
but go on.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Wait,
called.
what do you mean by that?
Europe is not a continent. That's a misnomer. It's called Eurasia. People just
That would be
separate
the landmass, yeah.
people just separate Europe from Asia because, I guess, of white Westerners. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well,
but there's no such continent as
It's
Europe.
because they're technically too different to be classified as a continent at this point.
No, they
Asia
have.
in itself is like
Not
3
really.
separate continents.
There's a clear. If you go to the Balkans, if you go to the Middle East, if you go to Western Russia, you can clearly see how the culture of Western Europe cascades and changes into the culture of Asia. So it's clear that the continent is Eurasia, and there's no like defining point where the culture changes. It slowly varies to Asian culture across as you go
Okay.
east. But yeah, that's a complete side point.
But then
anyway.
you could say that with North Europe and... Well, yeah, you could say that with North Europe and America.
Yeah, North America and South America, yeah. But North America,
But no,
go on.
no. Sorry. North America and Northern Europe, they are quite close when it comes to culture.
Yeah, but they're separated by an ocean, whereas Asia and Europe are connected.
Very eastern, northeastern Asia.
Yeah, but they're different continents because they're separated by an ocean, whereas Asia and Europe are connected by land.
Okay. Wouldn't that make Africa connected to them though as well? Because they're not separated by an ocean, they're separated by a river.
I mean, yeah, technically you
Which
could
would
argue that,
also
but
make Europe not...
But the connection between Africa and Eurasia, like by the Middle East, is like a very small sliver of land, whereas Europe is connected all the way across it to Asia. I mean, anyway, it's a complete side point, but yeah, just
No, okay, yeah, sorry.
yeah.
But no, like America, I get why America could be considered one like the a better country than UK. As you have proven, your education system is technically better than the UK's. Half of us end up with dropouts, whereas United States officials don't amount to as much as the UK's do, though. You get a lot of people, a lot of law students in the UK, in the US, but they don't. You hear from them like once, or they only get famous for being controversial.
So I don't understand your point. You'd fare much better doing law in the USA,
so
obviously.
it'd be better for the UK.
Lawyers in the USA,
Would you though?
of course, lawyers in the USA have more cultural influence. They have more influence. They have more ability to action things in courts. There's a more, like the legal system in the USA is less overburdened. The citizens have more rights. So when you have a lawyer, the lawyer can do more stuff for you. They earn more. So it's much better to be a lawyer in the USA than the UK. I mean, any lawyer will tell you that.
Okay.
Let's
If you
move
were
on.
to go
It's been
above
good
the
speaking to you, but let's move on because
Okay.
I'm not sure that you've actually got your points fully together yet. And I'm trying to argue. I'm trying to debate. USA has actual freedom of speech. Well, it has the most freedom of speech of anywhere else. What's up, Callum?
Okay. I'm not sure if this is just like engagement bait or not, but I don't want to talk too much about politics and guns and all that because I don't think that's what your point is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think any of that's what your point is. I think you're talking about as an individual, you would have a better quality of life financially, stably. That's what you're saying, right? You're
I
saying
also
that
I
as
also
the
think that the gun rights in the USA are the best in the world, and the US has the best political structure in the world as well.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that then. So what makes you think that?
Well, it has the constitutional republic, which I think is has proven itself to be the most preeminent form of governance in the world. It's given birth to the most successful society in the world. All modern countries that are performing well, or the vast majority of modern countries perform well, save for many countries in the Middle East, have a constitutional republic based on the American political structure.
America's not performing well.
America implements the separation of powers better than other common law countries.
America's not performing well.
It's the best performing country in the world by far.
According to what?
According to virtually every metric on performance. Other than maybe debt.
Give me one.
GDP per capita, average wages, rates of home ownership with respect to
thing is, it's all well and good earning a lot of money, but it depends how
standard of living with respect to how long it would take someone to reach a certain standard of living.
Listen, I don't know all the statistics off the top of my head, right? But the thing is, it's all well and good being able to earn a certain salary, right? But for just one example, if you have a recurring medical problem that forces you in and out of hospital all the time, you're either paying a lot of money for insurance or paying a lot of money on hospital bills.
Well,
So
you'd be paying a lot of money.
straight away.
You pay a lot of money in taxes to the NHS as well. So
Not as much as no. It's nothing. It's not even close to the medical bills that they pay.
It's roughly the same
doesn't even touch
percentage.
the surface.
It's roughly the same percentage of
No,
your
no,
overall
no.
salary. Yeah, it is.
No, because you to give birth. How much does it cost you to give birth?
But that's a singular, discrete bill. Obviously, when the way that the bills work is that
It's
you
a singular, discrete bill, but then
Yeah.
that's assuming that that's the only time you ever have to go to hospital.
No, my point is that if you got billed for every single thing if they showed you how much the NHS paid for every single time you have treatment and you saw that bill, then you would realize how much you are actually costing the NHS. And then obviously you're paying taxes to cover that. Obviously NHS operates at a deficit, I do believe, but our taxes go towards the NHS. So you're still getting billed for your healthcare in the UK. You're just not seeing the bill.
Yeah, but Americans have to pay tax and their healthcare bill.
I know, but the calculations I do factor in tax contribution towards healthcare as well. The average citizen pays about $1,000 in tax towards healthcare. It's much lower than the taxes we pay towards healthcare in the UK.
No, right, yeah. But that's not the point. The point is you
That
pay
is the
that
point.
tax, right? And that's but assuming that you don't have any medical problems and you don't have to go into hospital ever, then that's fine. Yeah, then you're paying less. But if you do, then it's 10 times more.
No, it's not, because your
something
insurance
happens where you do have to.
No, that's the point of insurance.
Well, what if
is
you don't
that
have insurance?
you
Not
pay
everybody
the
in America has
insurance.
insurance.
You pay the insurance bill. Obviously, if you have like a serious surgery, then yeah, you can have out-of-pocket expenses in addition to your insurance premiums, or your insurance premiums can go up. But your whole point was that you have to pay medical bills when things go wrong, but you have to pay medical bills in the UK whether things go wrong or not through taxation. And obviously the whole point of insurance is that when something goes wrong, it's either in total covered or the vast majority of it is covered by your insurer. And insurers in the USA cover more than what the NHS covers.
The more that things do go wrong, though, the higher your insurance gets. And if you're prone to things going wrong, then the higher that you have to pay, to the point where it gets worse.
Well, that's a good thing, because when you have a more of a burden on a system,
But
and
it's
you're
not your
using,
fault.
Hold on, but when you're using resources more, that's how the world works. Like if I eat way more food than somebody else, then I pay more for food, even though
But that's
food is
you choosing to eat more food. You're not choosing to be more of a medical burden on fucking the health.
I didn't
healthcare service.
choose to need to eat food.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. If I don't eat,
You
I'll
choose
die.
to
That's
eat more than
coercion.
everybody.
Well-
Your argument is if you choose to eat more food, then why should you have to pay for it?
Some
Because
people, some people have conditions that make them have food addictions. Nobody woke up and decided, I want to have to constantly work so that I have to find other creatures to consume to survive. That is coercion.
No, but
We are
everybody-
coerced into a
Everybody
world.
needs a certain amount of food to survive.
But that's not a choice.
We're getting sidetracked. The
No,
point is,
it's not sidetracked.
you choose
That's
to
not a
eat
choice.
The more food you choose to eat, that is up to you.
Yeah.
The more health problems that you have, that is not up to you. You don't get to choose that. That's not.
No, but my point is, the more consumption you have in a world where all of us live in coercion and nobody chose to be here, the more we consume, the more we pay. That's just how the world works. You're acting as though it's a moral, it's a moral weakness that of the US healthcare system, that people that use it more have to pay more.
No, but
you're not explaining why you think
services
that.
because nobody wants to have to use the health. Like, comparing it to eating food is ridiculous because
Why?
yeah, everybody has to eat food, but nobody has to eat the same amount of food. So if you choose to eat more food, then yeah, of course you should have to pay more money because it's you buying it. You're making that choice to eat more than you need to eat. You're not making any choice to need more healthcare service than anybody else. That's just something that happens. That's out of your control. So
But you have to pay for everything in life. So why is healthcare different?
because it's
Nobody chose to be alive and have to pay for stuff. Nobody chose to have to pay rent.
Nobody chose to be alive. I mean, obviously not.
So like you have no choice but to pay rent, right? Or pay for everything. Like nobody has a choice in
Yeah.
that regard. So why do you think that the fact that you have to pay a bill if you use a service more is inherently wrong?
Because it's not a luxury. It's not like something that in this country you have a right to it. That's the difference. You don't have a right to healthcare in America. There's
Well,
no
technically
right
you actually do. But the thing is, you also can pay less for lower quality healthcare in the USA as well. You don't actually have to have private insurance. And you don't
but
actually have to have the
regardless
best
of-
coverage either.
Regardless of what route you do, you have to pay for it at the end of the day. Someone has to cover it.
Well, technically you don't actually have to pay for it.
Why?
Because you don't have to have a private insurance plan. In the UK, you have to pay for it because it comes out of everything that you buy. And
No, but there's no free healthcare in the US.
there's no free healthcare in the UK either.
No, but as part of your tax gets distributed by the government. Like you don't,
Yeah.
your tax doesn't go up or down based on how much you use the healthcare service.
It goes up or down based on how much you earn.
That's part of things being public services. Like like you pay tax so that everybody can use it. And
I understand how it works. I'm
regardless
asking
of
you
how
why.
much you need
I'm
it.
asking you why do you think that it's better to have a public healthcare system, socialized healthcare system?
Because nobody in this country is in debt because they've had a heart attack or because they've given birth or because they've had whatever.
And
Nobody
why
in this country is
why
in
is
debt to the NHS.
and why is being in debt inherently bad compared to having an upfront tax? That
Why
you have
is
to pay?
being in debt inherently
You,
bad? Is
you
that
ignored
what you
the
just
second
asked me?
stanza of what I said, which is the most pertinent part, compared to having an upfront rolling debt that exists. Burden of a bill that exists from the day you're born to the day you die. You're saying you would rather have a guaranteed bill that you have to pay every year, whether you like it or not, than
Well, that's
have
what
a
I'm
debt.
saying to
Hold
you,
on,
that
hold on, hold on,
Americans
hold on,
have
hold
that
on,
anyway.
hold on. Then have a debt that you only pay when something actually happens. Why is one worse than the other?
Because you're guaranteed to have a medical problem at some point in your life.
Not necessarily. Not a medical
Who
problem.
goes through their life without ever being
No,
in
but
hospital?
not a medical. So if you're guaranteed to have a medical problem, let's assume you're guaranteed to have a medical problem in your life, right? And then you pay an increased bill when you have the medical problem. Can you explain why that's worse than paying anyway, whether you have a medical problem or not?
Because it's not like you're just paying for the NHS to run. You're paying for multiple things.
No,
to
with
be
regards to the money that you're
available
paying
to
to
everybody.
with regards to the money you're paying to the NHS, why is it better to pay upfront than to pay in a deferred manner only when you need to?
Because if and when it does happen, then you have it for free and it's not a burden to you when it happens. You're already burdened by whatever health problem that you're having. You don't need to then be further burdened by the debt that
Well, you
follows.
don't have to pay the bill immediately after. You can. So
No,
so
but
put
you
it this
have
way:
to
when
pay
you
it at some point.
when you get a debt, think about it like this. Let's say you get a debt of $10,000, yeah. You then pay monthly towards that debt, yeah.
On
Why-
top of the
why
tax
is-
you already pay anyway.
On top of the much lower taxes that you already pay. Why is that worse than paying monthly when nothing happens? You in the
Wait,
UK,
what,
you
sorry?
pay monthly anyway,
Yeah.
but then in the USA, you pay monthly anyway, and then pay more monthly when you have certain medical conditions. So you're either way, you're paying monthly.
Right. The point is, that's $10,000 probably not. It's on the lower side of the charges that U.S. healthcare costs.
No, that's
people.
on the higher
on-
side.
you see videos, you see stories all the time of people that are in hundreds of thousands of debt.
That's why you shouldn't get
the
your
US.
understanding of the US healthcare system from TikTok. because it's going to mislead you if you don't
It's on the
understand
news.
how it works.
It's on the news. It's on all social media. Like, people don't lie about it.
Of course
People
they
aren't lying
do.
when they say
The
that they're in
whole
debt.
UK medical system is basically geared towards creating propaganda as to why it's great to have socialized healthcare. Everything they say is a lie with regards to how healthcare should function. That's why everyone in the UK thinks it's good to have socialized healthcare, even though it's ruining the country.
How is it ruining the country?
Because everybody's paying significant bills towards something that is providing a poor quality of service for the amount that we're paying. And also the quality of care is consistently decreasing and the waiting times is consistently increasing. And we have an aging population, so it's not a sustainable system.
What right? So tell me this: what do people gain from lying about being in debt to the American healthcare system?
No, I'm not
What
saying
do
that the
gain
people are
from it?
lying. I'm saying that the way that information is presented to you is presented so that you think socialized healthcare is better, but it's not.
By who? Who's doing that? Who's
By the state, by the government, by the BBC, by the television, by the education system in the UK.
right? Okay.
That's why every single person I speak to in the UK thinks that socialised healthcare is good, even though they've never experienced any other form of healthcare. They're brainwashed.
So how much? So right, how much do you? How much are you saying that we as UK citizens pay? Our percent. What percentage of our tax that we pay goes towards the NHS?
The percentage of our overall income that goes towards the NHS is about 10%. So if somebody,
Everybody's income, 10% of everybody's
yeah, so if
income
someone
goes
earns
to the NHS.
50k, they're probably paying 5k a year towards the NHS. If someone earns 100k, they're probably paying 10k a year towards NHS. It's around that. I mean, if there's someone earns 100k, they're probably paying a bit more than that actually. But yeah, generally speaking, it's about 10% of whatever you earn goes back to the NHS.
Right, hang on. Let me Google this. 2 seconds.
I don't have the figures wrong. We do this every single time. We do the numbers, and people say, "Oh, the figures wrong." Then I do the numbers right in front of everyone, and then everyone goes silent. It's about 10% of the average income of your income that you. So if you're obviously if you're really poor, like if your income is like £12,500 a year, obviously you're paying nothing. But if you average it out, the average person is paying about 10% of their salary in the UK towards the NHS, and they're getting billed that whether or not they use the NHS. But then you guys are all arguing the US healthcare system is bad because you get a bill that you have to pay monthly, but you pay the bill monthly anyway. So it makes no sense, but nobody ever questions this stuff because of the state propaganda. They're like, oh, it's bad because you get a medical bill, and then you literally get a medical bill in your taxes every month. Private says, if you make that in USA, you get Medicaid. Yep. So it says, you guys let a racist man rule your country, yet you're better than us. I don't think that Trump is racist. I think he just doesn't give a shit. Hi, mate. Can't say for long, but I just thought I'd say I'm from notching a spot on. Thank you.
Right,
I
it's
appreciate
about
that.
10%.
It's about 10%, yeah. See?
So what's the number for Americans then?
Americans are paying about 12 to 13%. I mean, higher end, you're looking at like 13%. Lower end, you're looking at like 9%. So it's more of a range, but it's roughly similar. Most people in the UK are paying 10%, and that won't really change unless they get private healthcare, unless they're like really low earners. But in the USA, like, so the difference is, like, say if you're in the USA, you might be paying like 12% of your salary towards healthcare if you're earning like $70,000, right? But then if you earn $100,000, you're probably still paying the same amount towards your healthcare. If you earn $200,000, you're probably still paying the same amount towards your healthcare. So the more you earn, the lower percentage that you're paying, because unless you choose to get like really crazy high, like the best
Why is
state
that
of
a good
art
thing?
healthcare.
Why is that a good thing?
It's a good thing because it results in a more diverse healthcare economy that gives people more freedom of choice and results in more innovation and better quality of care with lower waiting times.
This is the problem in the UK at the minute, right? Is that people that do earn their money from UK businesses and UK practices, they take that money out of the UK and go to some tax haven where they don't have to put any money back into the country through tax.
I mean,
And then because of that, it bleeds money from the country. Then all the fingers get pointed at immigrants because they're the ones that are costing us it, apparently.
One sec, I will respond to what you're saying. I just want to address his comment. So someone says we pay taxes and premiums and deductibles. We pay way more. So the numbers that I use in NHS in USA calculations factor in out-of-pocket expenses, tax contribution towards healthcare, and insurance premiums, and you arrive at about 12% of the average salary. In addition, when you say we pay way more, yes, we pay way more than UK citizens. UK citizens are paying like, well, I'm a UK citizen, but we're paying like about £4,000 to £5,000 a year, depending. Some people pay 3,500. So we're paying much less as an actual value. But obviously, the US, they might be paying like $9,000, which is about, you know, £7,000 or £6,500, depending. And then you have to also factor in how much disposable income people have, and Americans have way more in disposable income. Like the average family in America has like $20,000 a year more in disposable income. So you have to factor in how much money the people have. If you're talking about
even true.
What's
I'm not sure that's even true. Maybe the people that are better off in America, yeah, but the average person still has the same problems that we have here.
See, this is the problem with being in the UK, is that people are being lied to. So,
By who?
they're being lied to by the UK, state government. They're being lied to by the UK education system. Americans are much richer than us, and we have much more.
You see Americans on a daily basis saying that you know, Trump's doing spending all this money on war and everything, like blah 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 blah, but they can't afford food. They can't afford their everyday shopping.
Exactly. You're only fed one narrative about how the USA is.
No, but this is American people saying this.
I know, because they are also being fed propaganda. Not all of them, but the Americans that know what's going on, they understand.
They cannot afford to buy their shopping. It's
yes,
not
they can.
Being fed anything.
Americans have way more ability to afford shopping than any other country in the world. What are you talking about?
No, but when it's Americans that are literally,
it doesn't matter what they're saying. It matters whether they actually can afford their shopping. There's no country in the world where people can afford food more than America.
But they're the ones themselves saying that they're not going to lie about not being able to afford.
It's not
shopping.
that they're lying. It's that they live in a country, and if they're saying I can't afford shopping, they're one of the people that can't afford shopping. That doesn't mean that as an overall percentage, more Americans can't afford shopping than other countries.
But it's a national problem, though. That's the thing.
It's more of a national problem in the UK.
The news outlets talk about it.
More people in the UK can't afford shopping.
Politicians speak about it.
You do realise that more people in the UK can't afford shopping than in the USA, right?
No.
This is what I'm saying. It's cognitive dissonance. Like, you could just look this information up and be like, oh, and then you'd have to start asking yourself, why do I think that Americans are struggling more than UK citizens? You're critiquing America, saying they're struggling to pay for stuff, and we're struggling more. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm not critiquing them because they're struggling to pay for stuff. I'm just saying right. What I'm saying is, as a country, their practices, their politics, all that is worse. Maybe their general individual way of life isn't worse. I don't know, because I don't live there.
But you keep
saying, as a country, your statement above your head is the USA is a better country than the UK.
But the problem is
Morally,
every time we reach a point of what something you say, I debunk it and I tell you, well, that's actually not right, and then you just keep saying, no, it is right. I'm telling you what you're saying is wrong, but you're not giving any reasons why you think it's right. You're saying like, you're saying like, oh, Americans are struggling to pay for stuff. Then I tell you, UK citizens are struggling more to pay for stuff, and then you just ignore it. Doesn't that tell you like,
I'm not denying that UK citizens are struggling to pay for things. I'm just saying that America's no better off.
But they are better off. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
But like based on what statistic?
Based on the statistics of what you brought up, the statistic of how much people are able to afford stuff.
No, but you said that Americans are still paying more in tax. You said that
no, they pay less in tax.
Americans' percentage that goes to healthcare is actually more or the same.
Yeah, but they have more money. So they have more money. They pay a higher percentage towards healthcare. They get a better healthcare system, a more diversified healthcare system with more options, offerings, better technology, better triage. They get a better system. They're paying roughly similar percentage, slightly more, but they have more money anyway. So it doesn't make sense to talk about how much someone's paying for something if they have more money. That's like being like, well, a billionaire has £10 million a week in expenses. He's poor. No, he's a billionaire. So having more expenses doesn't mean the same thing as if he was broke and had more expenses. Americans are richer than UK citizens, so they have more expenses, but they have more money.
But you know why the average gets brought up? Because there's more millionaires there. There's more billionaires there. Like 99 or 99, 100%. Well, 99% of all billionaires in the world live in America.
Yeah, but even
bring the average up.
But even if you use the median average, they're still outperforming UK citizens. So whether you use the mean or the median, they're still outperforming UK citizens. And the UK Gini coefficient is actually not that different from the USA's. It's only very slightly lower than the USA's. The UK also has a lot of wealthy people living in the city of London that skew the average. In fact, the UK might be I think the UK is like one of the most skewed economies in the world. If you live outside London, Like, you're basically living in like an Eastern European country, other than like Manchester. Like, the UK's entire economy is skewed to central London. And then you want to talk about America being skewed when it has like 70 of the highest GDP per capita like cities out of the top 100. It's not even like, even if you talk about, oh, it's being skewed by billionaires and stuff, even if you use the median average, they're still outperforming UK. So the only thing that UK citizens rely on is propaganda. They just keep repeating the same points. People die waiting for health. People die because they don't want to get healthcare. People get shot in school. That's all they have. Because when you actually start breaking down the numbers, none of it makes sense. None of it adds up. And even with all the stuff you guys say, Americans are still outperforming us. And nobody ever sits and goes, do you know what? Maybe we should actually look at this and like stop, swallowing propaganda slop and just go, let's actually look at this and go, why is the USA actually outperforming us? Is it something different about how they do things? Is it the deregulation? Is it the lower taxes? Like, maybe we should start looking at what they're doing that's making their economy perform so much better than ours. But instead people just go, oh, well, at least my kids don't get shot in school.
Even if you're right about all that, even if whether you are or not, I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough. Maybe you're right. But even if, why? Like, I just can't. I could never move past the fact, right? That, well, one, everything about the president. Two, the guns. I disagree. I don't think they're a good thing at all whatsoever. Three, no, I know he's not. But even if he was, three, the crap, the ingredients that they put in the food, they're poisoning their citizens, etc. I could go on.
When you say they're poisoning their citizens, are you suggesting that people are being forced to eat certain things?
No, but
so how are they
what
being
I'm saying
poisoned?
is they're putting unnecessary things because they know people are going to eat it.
Are you saying that people don't have the ability to choose what they want to eat?
Well, that's what you were saying earlier.
No, that I was saying the opposite. I was saying people have the ability to choose what they want to eat. So how can you say that they're being poisoned?
No, you said that you shouldn't have to pay more based on... Anyway, right, we're going to get sidetracked again. But my point is, they put these things in the food because they know people are going to eat it. The things that they put in there are banned in Europe.
So
banned in other places.
Let me
in
ask
the
you a
world.
question, right? So if you lived in America, what would you eat?
I wouldn't live in America.
If you lived in America, what would you eat? It's hypothetical.
Well, just the same things that I eat here, I suppose.
Do you not see how that?
Well, I would. Well, of
disproves
course I
your
would,
point?
because I wouldn't. If I lived in America, I would be in a hypothetical situation. I'd be blind to all these things, wouldn't I?
But you just said if you went to America, you'd eat the same things that you eat in the UK.
No, I wouldn't go to America though. That's what I'm
That's
saying.
not the hypothetical.
Me,
It's a hypothetical. It's a conditional. So we've granted that you were in America. In the hypothetical, if you were there, you said you would eat the
So
same
me
things.
myself, I have to be in America.
I didn't say you
What
have
would
to.
I eat?
It's a hypothetical. So if you were in America, you're saying you would deliberately choose to eat the same things that you eat now. So doesn't that show
No,
you that
but
you have the ability to eat what you want in the USA?
No, but right, okay, but it's hard for me to answer this question because I wouldn't go to the US.
So you
for
don't
a
have the
multitude of
ability to
reasons,
use
one of them
abstract.
being this.
So are you tacitly admitting that you have no ability to use abstract for abstraction?
No, but what I'm saying is it's hard for me to answer your question because I don't want to eat anything in the UK, in the US. Sorry.
So
that's
you
my
don't
point.
have the ability to engage with a hypothetical.
Well, what would I eat? I don't know. What does anybody eat? Like?
But the hypothetical is a device that I'm using to undermine your argument. By saying that if you were in America, you would eat the same thing, that undermines your argument because you said that Americans are being poisoned. But then you admitted that if you were in America, you wouldn't be being poisoned because you'd choose what you want to eat. But Americans all have the ability to do that exact same thing, which is choose what they want to eat. Okay, exactly. How would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast this morning?
Well, right, no, but my point is, people are gonna eat things anyway. Like people, they will. So like they're not. What am I trying to say? The ingredients list on multiple things, condiments such as tomato sauce or, the pesticides that they put on the vegetables that they grow, stuff like that. The ingredients list, they're double the size of the stuff that we have over here. Double the size.
Okay, can you name something that's in like
chemicals?
Can you name some of those chemicals in tomato sauce?
Hang on, let me get it.
Okay. like when I go to America, I just shop at the local farmers market. It's not hard, mate. It's like you're acting like 350 million people are struggling to figure out what they need to eat. Like they have more food options than we have. They have all the food options we have plus more stuff. So like, why would someone not be able to pick what they want to eat? They can pick the same things that they want to eat as in the UK. All the stuff we have here, they have there, other than like certain chocolate bars or whatever. JW says, "Why not get someone educated?" Baby,
It's the same thing, but it's double the ingredients with all these chemicals.
Name some of the chemicals in tomato. You said tomato sauce, so let's use that as an example. What's in American tomato sauce that's not in UK tomato sauce? Achilles says US is very different region to region. One may be more overweight than another, but it all gets combined. Yep, true. They have more food options and the veg are bigger because they have growth hormones in it. Growth hormones in the vegetables? Are you talking about growth hormones in the meat? We don't have to be a scientist and name things to you. Oh yeah, I know you can just remain being low intelligence and not ascend to a higher level of you are free to remain ignorant. I'm not trying to force you to be a critical thinker. Right, Callum, you're taking too long. I'm just going to drop you off. So let's get someone else on because people are saying that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's pretty low intelligence to suggest that the example that this individual gave, which would substantiate his claim that he would be unable to eat the same things that he's eating in the UK without having to consume chemicals. If I ask him to substantiate that and say what chemicals, you're saying that doesn't matter. Well, obviously it matters because that's the substance of his argument. So you'd be low intelligence and not realize that. Anyway, watch how quick your face drops if you add me. Oh, let's add you right now, Sosa. But Sosa, when I add you, in fact, can you request up because I can't see your request. When I add you, show your face as well so we can see whose face really does drop. Sosa, I'm waiting for your request. What's up, Lani?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yes, so I've spent a decent amount of time in the United States. I'm obviously from the UK. I actually did a year abroad in the United States. And there were a few things about the US which I do have an issue with, or something that I took for granted at least, being a British person. First being, it's just the I have an issue with the way the United States is planned. Like, I didn't find
Sosa request.
Yeah.
Sosa request because you're just talking in the chat, bro. Request up. No one's scared of you. Sorry, go on, Lani.
Yeah, no. One of the biggest things for me was the lack of walkability and the lack of public transport in the United States. I find that being in the UK, you're relatively no more than like a 45-minute to an hour's walk from the things you need from daily life, whether it's going to the bank or going to your doctors. But in America, I had to rely on someone to drive me to those places. And I also think that sort of adds to the unhealthiness of like the United States. I'd also say, where I was in the East Coast, we had the Amtrak, which...
Sosa, I can't see your request, bro. You're going to have to just delete your request and do it again. Sorry, go on, Lani.
On the United States, I was on the East Coast, which had relatively decent transport. I say decent, but I've only been on it a few times, but it took you from major cities. But in other parts of the United States, some people may not have that same access of transport. And even then, it was very limited what we had compared to what we have in the UK and the rest of Europe. I'd also say that the United States has a big consumerism issue. I find that driving in the United States, it was essentially just retail markets after retail markets with big billboards and big signs, and it's essentially quite predatory to how these companies, attract consumers. Yeah, you do have a choice to go to those businesses or not, but there's a greater sort of draw because of the billboards. It's why some states have banned it as well.
What state were you in?
And then I was in Virginia.
Oh, that's a really good state.
Yeah, no, it's...
So,
I mean, the weather was very...
So, obviously,
weather at times.
you'd have to have a car to, like, get around, but You know, if you're where were you trying to get to? Like, are you saying like just to get to like everyday places? I would agree that you need a car in the USA, but I mean, obviously it's a
For
big
example,
place.
if I wanted to go to a big supermarket, such as a Walmart, I had to rely on someone to drive me there, or at times the buses, which only ran like every single hour and they're quite small. But
Skill issue, bro. Get a car. You should have rented a car.
but that's the thing. It's just like in the United Kingdom, right? I appreciate the fact that you can walk to these places, but in the United States, having to rely on a vehicle to get you around
Who walks
does
to the
restrict your
supermarket?
freedom. But not just it's not just the supermarket as well. It's also things like the hospital or the dentist practice or even the bank. Like,
You walk to the
I
hospital
could
in the
easily,
UK.
yeah,
That's not a very
I
good
live in an
idea,
area
mate.
where, why wouldn't it be?
If you need to go to the hospital, I don't think you should be walking there.
Well, I go to the hospital for my orthodontist practice.
Oh, you mean like
So,
you like for a GP checkup?
yeah.
Oh, okay, I get what you're
I
saying.
mean, like, obviously, if you're in severe conditions where you cannot walk, then, you should rely on an ambulance to get you there. I'm not necessarily saying that the United States is worse than the UK. I'm just pointing out the things that I had an issue with in
Oh
the
no,
United
that's fine.
States.
I agree with you that some of these things are an issue. I mean, what were you in Richmond or like Virginia Beach,
I was in Fredericksburg.
Fredericksburg? Oh, okay, so that's kind of more of a small town, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
20,000.
So, like, if you were in a small town in the UK, do you not think that you would encounter similar issues of if you want to get somewhere of consequence that you might have to get a car?
No, I live in a small town as well. Like, I live in a place called Langley in Essex, which has the same population as Fredericksburg, but
Okay.
the things which I could easily get to, such as a supermarket, bank, dentist, I had to rely on public transport. Not public transport, but someone to carpool me to A and B. Which my point more is that financially maybe more well off in the United States, but it doesn't necessarily mean that lifestyle wise you will be better off.
Do you know, it's really interesting what you're saying, because the first time I went to the USA on my own, I went to Arizona and I didn't have a car and I had to get Ubers places. I went for a hike, I came back and I had to get an Uber. It was like a way more difficult experience. I got like burnt all over my neck and face. And then I've been back to the USA like 5, 6, 7 times since then with a car, and it's like night and day. So if you don't have a car, then yeah, maybe stay in a place where the government's going to provide you like travel options. Because to be quite honest, like if you're in the USA with no car, that's probably one of your main things you need to sort out first. You can't really get anything done without a car. But that's the same within the UK. I mean, if you're in the UK and you don't have a car, unless you live like in, a major city, like in the city of London, and your workplace is nearby and you like getting the train with loads of other smelly people in the morning, I think probably you should get a car. Like, I wouldn't want to live in central London just for that reason, because I don't like driving in the city centre. But like, that's kind of
I guess
I
it
know
all
it sounds
depends
like
on.
ignorant, but that is kind of like a skill issue. Like get a
I
car,
guess it
bro.
all depends on preference, but like
Yeah,
I'm sure you would appreciate being able to walk to
you ain't
certain
got $2,000
places.
for a car.
That's kind of rude. It's not what I'm saying. But
How's that rude? It's a question.
it's not the point though that I'm trying to make. Like,
The
my
point you're making
being,
is people that can't afford a car have that problem, and I agree with you. I agree. Generally speaking,
my
what you're saying, I
my
agree.
my issue is just more like the way the United States is planned. Like, there should be walkable places, not just outside of cities, but also in like suburbs and areas.
I mean, there are a lot of walkable
Like,
places. It
which
depends where you're at.
I've literally walked in areas where the sidewalk would just end. I know that's my personal experiences, but I know it's not uncommon for the United States.
Yeah. Yeah, move to New York. Exactly. New York's very walkable. I walked to loads of places in New York. But the problem with New York is if you get public transport, you have to deal with like black people smoking weed and like having like mental health breakdowns like everywhere you go. So that's not very nice.
I mean, these are just my issues I had with the United States. I would prefer the US to be a place that was more walkable, like the United Kingdom.
Okay.
But that's just me on the public infrastructure.
That's fair.
And then second would mostly be just I appreciate the social safety nets the United Kingdom has compared to the United States. For example, you're legally mandated up to 28 weeks of sick pay, but in the United States, there's no federal requirement. There's also just a greater sense of job security in the United Kingdom. All employment in the United States is at will, so your employee could fire you without any problem, without cause, really. I know it's like a difference in culture. Like Europe tends to be more focused on being, but America tends to focus more on like becoming. But like, I'm pretty sure Americans would also appreciate more than like 7 days. 'Cause I've spoken to Americans whilst I was there, and they said things such as, you know,
Why don't you just save your money? Because one of the major things I notice when I have this debate is that people suggest that you can't do something in America, like, oh, you don't have sick pay, you don't have time off. But you realize like a lot of these things are a matter of personal choice. You can negotiate your own time off. You can save your own money and create your own sick pay. Your argument is essentially that the government isn't stepping in and doing something for you, but you can do that thing yourself. So it's not that you can't do it, it's that you want the government to do it for you. But in order for the government to do something for you, you have to give them the power, money, and ability to do it. So you're saying you want a more powerful government that provides, well, not more powerful, a more, I guess, benevolent state that provides you things that you could theoretically provide for yourself. But why don't, if you want that thing, why don't you just provide it for yourself instead of being concerned about whether other people have it? Why don't you provide that for yourself?
well, it's not really the government that it's not really the government. It's more just companies in themselves. Companies will offer sort of benefits to keep a competitive advantage, but they don't legally have to. And that's why I'm saying that the work security in the United States is less in the UK. Whether that's for the better or for the worse, that's really down
In terms of state provision, in terms of something being state mandated, yeah. But I'm saying that because of something not being state mandated and having a less regulated having employers be less regulated, that also provides benefits. So I'm not saying that you're wrong. Of course, there is less or no mandatory state sick pay, but that isn't an inherent bad thing when you consider that a deregulated system also allows for more diversity within that system and allows people to provide things for themselves without the state having to step in. It's kind of like making the argument like, well, the state doesn't send you a packet of food every week, therefore it's worse. But then it's like, well, okay, what does that come with? Well, that comes with having to have the infrastructure and the administrative capacity to have the state provide that for everybody. That might come with the downside of people's taxes going up. It might come with the downsides of what you're getting being lower quality or people becoming dependent on it. So people talk about, well, the state's not giving us this, but they never think about, well, what comes with that? If we give the state the ability to provide us this, what then comes along with that? What are the tacit obligations that we subscribe to by providing the state the ability to provide us with that thing?
So could you see these things being provided as a downside when
Yeah,
most
potentially,
countries in the world, when most countries in the world do have like, not just, well, I'm a man obviously, but then maternity leave is also another big issue in the United States.
I think maternity leave is one of the most slept on issues in the UK, and it's because it's very controversial to speak about. But maternity leave is one of the main reasons why the NHS sucks. When you hire people and then they go on maternity leave, that has a significant impact on the quality of services provided. So there's downsides to maternity leave as well, but people don't like to talk about them because they think that you're being sexist when you talk about it.
I mean, admittedly, I don't know as much on maternity leave as I do with the other things I talked about, but it's just a point that I wanted to mention.
No, I think you raised good points.
Relatively, I'd say whether you prefer the United States or the United Kingdom, it's mostly down to perspective. I can see why Trump would prefer the United States, but the things that you have in the United Kingdom, you slowly would take for granted in the United States, such as just being able to walk to places and also third spaces in outside of, well, even in cities, they don't have money for third spaces because cities have quite a big work culture in the United States as opposed to like other places.
I actually think that the US has better infrastructure planning than the UK because it's designed for cars, which are obviously a modern invention, whereas the UK is designed for like horse and carriage. So everything's really small and like close together, and then the roads are like very inefficient, so you end up with cities like Nottingham and Birmingham where you have these spiraling, sprawling roundabout messes in the city centre, and that generates pollution. And then everybody becomes dependent on the government provision of transport because you can't even drive around because of how cooped together everything is and how poorly planned everything is because it was planned for horse and carriage. I much prefer being in like the open roads in the USA, where if you want to get somewhere, you drive directly there, pull up in the parking lot, and you're there. Whereas in the UK, like you could go around 7 roundabouts, go past round on yourself 6 times, and then you can't find anywhere to park.
I get the point. In terms of cities as well in the United States, I went to Philadelphia. I'd say one thing that I did appreciate was how much more easy it was to navigate through the city. Like,
Yeah.
from getting from A to B, it was literally just a straight line. And it was like I was walking down that for 40 minutes, whereas
Yeah.
in London, I would be making like a lot of turns. But again, that is just my personal preference.
Yeah, most cities have the grid system as well, which is unequivocally more efficient than most UK road systems. That's why Milton Keynes is a really efficient place to drive, because they obviously everything good is always modeled on the USA. Milton Keynes, which is has a city with like the best city plan in the UK, is based on America. It's based on how American roads are. It has a grid system.
That's the thing. Like, American cities are designed to be efficient for business, but not necessarily efficient for like just lifestyle, really. In my opinion, like, for example, like I said, the third spaces. I feel like America has kind of a lack of third spaces because it has a very big work culture compared to the UK. And I'll say this again. I'll emphasize that might be someone's personal preference, but
Yeah.
for me, I would appreciate like, a place where outside of work and homework and
That's fair.
really just
Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to move on because we've been talking for quite a long time. I appreciate your perspective. I agree with you with the points that you raised. I think that they're nuanced points, but they're probably some of the better critiques of the USA for the average person. But thanks anyway for coming on.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. What's up, Giant? What is it, Giant Ginger Jesus?
Yeah, it's good evening. It's just a play on words. I don't have a messiah complex.
That's all right.
I think this is just more ways to divide people, isn't it? You think you're doing a debate here and you think you're talking about things that really matter. All you've done here is just divide people further. Yeah, the big side tells me that, there's nothing good about what you're doing here. The world's already divided. Why would you do that further?
How am I
Look at the
dividing people?
comments. Look at the comments. Look at everybody falling out. We're brothers. Like, there's no
How
America
am I
without the UK.
dividing people by debating?
You're dividing people. Stop being obtuse. Stop being childish.
No,
You know
no.
that you are.
Answer the question. If
You're
you're a
being
real
very
man,
childish
if you're a
and
real
doing
man, I allowed you to challenge me. So if you're a real man, allow me to rebut and challenge you. How am I dividing people by talking about the pros and cons of different systems?
It's the epitome of dividing people.
Explain
if
how.
if you can't pick that up, so what you're doing is you're putting people against each other for no other reason other than get some clicks and likes on TikTok.
How
That
do you
is
know what
juvenile.
how do you know what my
It's
motivation
juvenile.
is? How do you know what my motivation is?
Because you get no life and no career and nothing to be proud of.
How do you
So
know
what
that?
you're doing is you're reflecting because you're here doing this. There's nobody would have a decent life that's secure with themselves would do something as childish as this prompt.
Okay.
That's just a fact. You don't need to understand that because you aren't intelligent enough. I can tell just by looking at you, you're not intelligent, man. That
Really?
ridiculous hair. Yeah. I bet. When's the last time you read a book? Be honest.
I don't read books. I listen to audiobooks.
Exactly. You see, there you go. Thanks for admitting it. You don't have a clue.
Really?
So Spain last year published more books than the whole of the African continent combined. You people are not intelligent, educated people. This prompt proves it. You're full of hate, and because you want to spread your hatred around, you're dividing people who don't hate each other. You're fucking disgusting. Everything about you is disgusting.
This
Yeah.
is one of
You
those
see,
things where
laughing 'cause you're
like something's
insecure.
existing in your imagination and you're projecting it. I'm just letting you speak.
So this isn't actually happening. I'm not.
The only
standing
one that
here
spread
talking to
hate
you
on the
on
live
your
has been
fucking
you.
live, like,
The only one that spread hate has been you. Everybody else has come on and had
how have I spread
critiques and
hate? By
difference of
speaking
opinion.
truth. By speaking truth. That's hatred now, is it? Then you've got issues.
Well, that's
You've
your
got major
opinion. It's your
issues.
opinion about me, but you haven't
It's
said
truth.
anything
There's
about
no
the
such
prompt.
thing as an opinion when the truth is involved.
So-
Truth is the intellectual wealth of the world. I wouldn't expect you to understand that.
Why not?
You've already admitted you don't read books. You can't be intelligent if you don't read books
That's
about
not
history.
true.
Yeah, oh, it's vastly true.
I
If
said
you
I
think
listen to
that you're going
audiobooks.
get any kind of knowledge off internet, then I've got a fucking bridge to sell you.
I said I
because
listen
you
to
are dumb.
I listen to audiobooks, and I mainly focus now on reading the civil procedure rules, which are not a book. So I do
So,
read. I
yeah,
just don't
exactly.
read books.
No, you don't read books. You'll never improve your vocabulary. You never improve
I
your
have a better
grammar, your
vocabulary
spelling,
than
or
you.
Nothing. No, you don't. Clearly, you don't.
Why not?
It's very clear. I've got an accent. I've got a vast vocabulary.
But how do you know how good
come
my
from-
vocabulary is? You're just making
Because you
assumptions.
can hear the way you're talking.
What?
You're not even understanding what I'm trying to say.
I am
objectively.
understanding. I'm
You're
saying
not
it's your
even-
opinion, and it's
you're
not really
you're not
tantamount to
looking back
discussion.
and I've said to you very plainly, it's not an opinion. It's a truth.
It's your
You
opinion.
Are not looking at,
You
you're
don't
not
know me,
looking
so
at
you
this
don't know anything.
objectively.
You don't know if
I
anything that you're
exactly-
saying is correct.
I know everything
You're just
about
making
you.
assumptions.
I know that your ancestors were pathetic and let you down badly. That's all I need to know about you.
I mean,
your
why do you
ancestors
think
didn't
that?
even care about you because they let us sail thousands of miles and walk all over them. That's why. Yes.
But what does that have to do with
exactly.
me?
We sailed for weeks. We were malnutritioned. We didn't have vitamin C. We still landed and conquered your people with a handful of us.
My
That is
people
sheer
weren't-
dominance.
Well, I mean, what does that have to do with the live prompt, though? I don't really understand.
It has to do with your hatred. Your hatred.
My people,
is
my
shining
people
through.
weren't actually conquered. My great grandfather used to
Your
sell
people were
slaves.
conquered
He worked
easily.
with
They
the
were
British, so
walked
he
all over.
he used to
Your
sell
ancestors
slaves.
carried my ancestors around in their back for free.
No, they
That's
didn't.
what the difference is.
No, they didn't.
Oh,
My
they
my
did.
my ancestors. I
They
can tell you.
did.
I can tell you about my ancestors. So my
You don't know about your ancestors.
I do
You don't have a
actually.
clue because-
I do.
No, you don't. Name your
I
great grandfather. Then go back a few hundred years. You have no idea where your people come from because you didn't write anything down.
I do.
None
do,
of your people
actually.
wrote anything down.
I do.
Whatever.
So let me
You
speak.
know-
So
you
I'm
know you
Igbo.
don't.
I'm Igbo, right? That's the name of
Exactly.
my
So
tribe.
your people don't fuck all for humanity.
Anyway, so the name of my tribe is
That laugh is a
Igbo.
laugh of an insecure man.
My great grandfather actually used to sell slaves. So he actually used to sell slaves to the British and things like that.
There you go.
Mainly people that
Vile,
lived in the forest
evil,
and stuff.
Disgusting people. My ancestors had nothing to do with slavery. Yeah,
Okay,
yours
but what
did.
does that
You
have
see
to
the
do with me,
difference here? It's in your bloodline. You're a horrible, evil person because this live proves it.
Wait,
You
so
could have done
I'm
something
spreading
nice with
hate.
your time. You could have brought people together with your time, but instead you came up with this ridiculous. The USA is better than the UK.
That's just my
You
opinion.
really think there's anything good about that?
Yeah, it's just my
What's
opinion.
good
I think
about
that I'll tell you
Explain
what.
in 50 words
I mean,
what
you
is good about dividing people.
Thank
by
you.
saying,
I'll
"Oh, I'm
explain.
better than you."
I'll explain. So I'm not saying that the people of the USA are better than the people of the UK. I actually prefer people in the UK.
It's the people who
Let me
make the
fucking
country, so
speak, bro.
that's
Shut up.
childish.
Shut up. So
The
I can
people
speak.
make the
All right, let me
countries.
speak. Let me speak. So what I'm talking about is the systems of governance, and because I respect British history, British culture, and the common law heritage.
not part of.
Let me finish speaking. The common law heritage. I believe that the common law was better implemented in the United States, and I think that because of that, it's created a system that there are many aspects of that system that we should adopt over in the UK. So I'm talking about the pros and cons of those different systems because obviously I've benefited from living in the UK. I benefit from visiting the USA, and I suspect that the UK could improve by adopting things from their cousins across the Atlantic. So you don't really know my motivation. You've made a lot of assumptions about my
You
motivations.
don't have any motivation. If you had any decency or motivation in you would go and fix Africa, but instead you're here giving us shit in a country you belong in, where you
Well-
didn't help build. And your
Well,
ancestors
how am
have
I
fuck
giving?
all
How
to
am
do
I
with it.
giving? How am I giving the country shit?
Africa's a shithole right now. Africa's
How
an
am I-
absolute
how am I-
dump
how am I
because of the
giving the
people.
country
and you're
shit?
here dividing the people of
I'm
the
not
UK
dividing
and
the people,
America.
but how am I
You're
giving the
dividing
country?
the people. Look at the comments.
But
What
how
you've
am I?
done is
How
the
am I
epitome of
giving the
dividing
country?
people.
Okay, how am I giving the country shit by talking about ways to improve? I'm talking
Why
about.
are you not going to improve Africa? So
I'm not from
Africa's in
Africa.
a shit state. Yes, you fucking are. Look at the state
I've been
of
to
you.
Africa once. I've never been to my homeland.
You or your ancestors, your heritage is from Africa. There isn't
Yes.
a fucking UK bone in
My
your
heritage,
body.
my heritage
Exactly.
is from Africa.
So
Yeah,
we've all got eyeballs. We can all look at Africa and see that it's a shithole and it's doing crap. and
Correct.
It's because of the people. So instead
Correct.
of you addressing that, you're here to divide us people more. We're
I'm not.
actual
I'm not
blood brothers.
dividing
The
anyone.
people, you're dividing people.
But
It's
I'm from the
epitome of
UK though.
dividing people.
That's why I'm
Look
talking
at
about
it.
the UK.
You're not from the UK. You live
I
in the
am.
UK. There's a difference. You're not.
I was
from
born here.
The UK. You've already said your heritage is African.
I mean,
There's not
what
a
does it?
bone of you
What does
that's
it
from the
mean to be?
UK.
What does it mean to be from somewhere?
It
Tell
means
me-
to be
tell us.
white. It means to be white from the UK. It means to be white. It's very simple. It's
So-
the same way to be from Africa. It means to
Okay.
be black. Stop being
So,
obtuse
so
deliberately. It's
because
juvenile.
so are you an ethno nationalist?
I am a fucking full-blooded Irishman that wants to have
No,
my
but
country
are
safe
you an
and not have the people
ethno-nationalist?
being beheaded on the street by
No,
your
but I'm
people.
asking.
That's what I don't want.
I'm not Sudanese, but I'm asking, are you an
It's your
ethno-nationalist?
people still. It's your African
No,
people.
Sudanese are not
'cause you
my
wanna lump
people.
all us together.
Sudanese
You're
are
lumping
not
all
my-
of us together
Sudanese
in
are
the UK,
I'm not lumping-
America.
I know
so
I'm
if
not.
You can do it. I can do it. too. That's how it
Sudanese are
works,
not
you see.
the same as my people, but that would be
Yeah,
like
well,
me saying
they're
that you're.
beneath you.
That would be
You're all
that would be
beneath
like
us.
me
Every
calling
one of
you.
you are beneath us.
That would
You
be
shouldn't
like
living
that would be
amongst
like me
us.
calling you.
You shouldn't
Kaz-
be here in
Kazakh.
our country. It's simple as that.
Well,
You
that's
should not
that's
be
your
around us.
opinion. That's your opinion.
You've
But
been proven. It's been
would you
proven
would you
countless
would you
times.
agree?
You
Hold on,
can't
hold on,
be trusted
hold on.
to be
Let me-
around us.
That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion, but I'm saying, would you agree that your first allegations against me were actually false allegations with a hidden motivation?
no,
let me
no,
let me
you're
let me
dividing
speak, because
people.
you
You're
were
dividing people.
you were accusing me of dividing people
You're
and spreading
dividing
hate,
people.
but really
Yes,
your
that's the
your
epitome
issue
of
is
what this
just
is.
because I'm a black guy in the UK. Why didn't you just come up and say
No, that's
I
a
have an
part of
issue
it.
that you're black
I
in the
don't like
UK?
you.
But
I
I'm
have
not.
an issue
But
that
I'm
you're
not.
black in the
I'm
UK.
not
I said,
dividing
"Listen,
people and
fucking
spreading
what?"
hate.
I
You just
don't
mad that I'm
care.
black. Yeah.
You just shouldn't be here. It's as simple as that.
But you're
Not
entitled to
only
your
should you not
opinion.
be
I'm not
here,
mad at you having that
shouldn't
opinion.
Be here spreading this shit. You should be over.
But
putting
I'm
your
giving
effort
you
and
the
your
I'm giving you the
energy-
platform to speak.
You
You're
should
entitled
put
to that.
Your effort and your energy fixing your own continent, which is a shithole.
But I'm not a
because of your
national. I'm not a
people.
nationalist
But
though. That's the
instead-
thing.
But instead, what
You're
doing
a
is
nationalist. I'm not a
you're
nationalist.
dividing us more. You're just dividing us.
I'm
more
not
for the
dividing
sake of
anyone.
clicks. For a few clicks and followers, you're dividing people.
I'm not
You're fucking
dividing
sick.
anyone.
You're
I'm
sick
just
evil
interested
man.
in
You
the.
get evil
I'm
deep
just
in your
interested
heart.
in the USA, mate. I'm just interested in the
No, you're
different
not.
systems.
No, you couldn't give a shit.
Why
about the
would I
USA.
make-
Why are you not concerned more about Africa, your actual homeland?
Because I'm
Why
not
are
a
you more concerned
nationalist.
about that?
Because I'm not a
Why are you
nationalist.
not more concerned about your actual homeland?
I just
instead of
answered
being
you.
more worried
I'm
about
not a
us
nationalist. I don't consider
dividing
my.
us
I don't
further?
consider
You're dividing
myself.
us further
I don't
for
consider
likes,
myself to
for
have.
followers
Hold
and
on. Let me
likes.
let me
That's what
respond to
you're
you.
doing.
Let me respond to you.
Hatred.
I don't consider myself to have allegiance to a location based on the people that are there or based on the geographical borders. I'm not a nationalist, so that's why I don't care about
You're not
where
anything.
people
You're
are
not
from.
anything. You aren't anything. You're a global citizen who doesn't have a home.
I wouldn't
That's
call
what you
myself a
really
global
are.
citizen. I wouldn't call
You're
myself a
global
citizen. I'm just a
without
human
home.
being.
You could nowhere to call home. Even if you went back to your homeland,
Yeah,
they
because
wouldn't
the
accept
concept
you,
of
and
that.
that's sad.
Yeah, because I don't
That's
agree
very
with
sad.
the. Well, they
Your
would.
own
They
people
would accept
wouldn't even
me.
accept you back
Oh
right
yeah, they
now.
would, of
Yes,
course.
they wouldn't.
I have land
No, they
over there,
wouldn't.
but I've never even
You
seen
know
it.
that they wouldn't. No, you don't. You're poor as fuck.
I'm not poor.
Yeah, you're poor as fuck. You're on here begging for likes. That's how poor you are. That's how
No, I
insecure
want
you are.
likes because it boosts me in the algorithm. I don't really make much money on TikTok.
Exactly.
I just
You're
enjoy it.
begging. It's not about money.
No, I
it's
don't- I'm not-
attention.
I'm
You're
not begging.
for attention.
Well,
You're
attention
begging
is
for
necessary
attention.
to boost yourself
That
online.
ridiculous prompt. Yeah, and you have the nerve to say you're not dividing people. Literally the epitome of
Well,
dividing
nobody thinks
people
nobody
is
thinks I'm
putting them
dividing people
above each
except
other.
you.
No, everybody does. Look what the prompt. The USA is better than the UK. That's the epitome of dividing people.
That's just
You're
an
too
opinion.
stupid
But
to
you
realise.
think that white people are better than black people. Is that dividing people?
No, I don't think. I know they
Exactly.
are.
So that's
History
your
proves
opinion.
that.
So you're allowed to wait.
No,
So
it's not
so let me
like
get this
just said
straight.
to you.
So you're
history proves. Look at the UK
history
compared
proves
to
that
Africa.
history proves
You're
that
going to compare them.
history
two?
proves
You're
that
actually going to compare.
history proves that the
civilization
USA
we have and we built over hundreds of
you're,
years.
you're
you people didn't
struggling.
even
You're
make a
struggling.
wheel.
Let's
You didn't even
recap.
make
Let's
a wheel.
recap for a sec, right? So he's saying. So he lost the point where he actually felt his argument failed. So he's saying I'm dividing people by saying the USA is better than the UK,
It's the
right?
epitome of dividing
He's saying I'm dividing people because I'm saying USA is better than the UK. But he's saying he thinks white people are better than black people, and he's saying I'm evil because I'm dividing people.
didn't
So
think
then
that.
doesn't
I
that
said history
doesn't that
proves that.
doesn't
I
that
said
make
history-
doesn't that make you evil as
History
well?
proves
Doesn't
that.
that make you evil as well by dividing people?
I never said that I'm good. I like being
Oh, so you are evil.
I'm an Irishman.
Oh, so you're evil. Okay, so you're the same as me.
Good.
So you're the
I
same.
served 4 tours. Yeah, but
So
you
you're
don't
the
need to
same
be
as
around
me.
You don't need to be around me.
You're the
though.
same as
look at that
me.
Childish laugh.
So if you're
That's
evil, you're the
childish
same
of
as
you.
me.
You're very childish. You really are.
But if you think I'm evil
Your
and that
people
makes
can't
me
control yourselves,
worthy
you
of being
really can't.
abused, you're the same as
don't
me
need-
because you
don't
just
need
said
to
you're
be here.
evil.
Yeah, but I see the difference.
You've been
is that I served my
outsmarted. You see,
country.
the thing is, I
You-
let
you
you,
could
I
never
let you,
outsmart it.
I let you speak, and
You're
because
not capable
because
of
of your
outsmarting
vitriol,
anybody.
because of your vitriol and your bias, you can't actually see you've
You're
undermined your own
boring.
argument.
You're actually boring.
You've undermined your own
boring.
argument. You argued
haven't.
that
I
I
haven't.
systematically dismantled
You haven't understood my.
I,
you- no, you
I've
haven't
understood
even
everything you
understood my
said. I
argument.
understood everything you
No,
said.
you haven't.
I let's recap. I systematically dismantled you.
You keep
You
repeating it,
argued.
but you
Let's
didn't.
drop you down so I can just respond because you keep yapping. So I systematically dismantled him because his argument was that I'm bad and I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing because it's dividing people. And he said, I'm dividing people because I'm suggesting that the USA is better than the UK. But then he spent the whole live arguing that Europe and Europeans are better than Africans. Then I said, that means you're dividing people, isn't it? Then he said, well, he accepted that he was dividing people. And I said, okay, but you said I'm evil for dividing people. Then he accepted that he is evil for dividing people. So he agreed that he's the same as me. And he thinks I'm worthy of abuse because he thinks I'm evil in dividing people. But then he accepted that he himself is evil in dividing people. Therefore, he's also worthy of abuse. Therefore, he's the same as me. So why is he attacking me if he's actually the same as me, according to his own logic? So I outsmarted him, which is kind of ironic because he thought that I had lower intellectual capacity than him and I couldn't outsmart him. But I clearly just outsmarted him. Anyway, let's move on. And that's where the satisfaction comes, is like, I don't care if people want to be ethno-nationalists. I don't care if people think white people are better than black people. I have no qualms or issues with that. In fact, I think everyone should have a right to think that. And I think some people are kind of right with certain things, like when they say Europeans have better ingenuity, Africa has an S-hole. Like, I agree with that stuff. Like, but it's just funny because like he still got outsmarted either way. One, and two, I think he was assuming that I would get offended or something. But like, people are entitled to their opinions. Like, I don't have an issue. I let him speak and he hung himself with his own rope. So that's where I get my satisfaction from, is just outsmarting dumb people. But let's move on anyway. Why would you agree with the Western world? Well, Sapphire, the reason why I would agree is because I think it's pretty objective that Africa is, for all intents, I wouldn't call it an S-hole. I wouldn't use that language, but it's doing really bad. Let's just put it that way. I wouldn't want to live there in most African countries, other than maybe to like be around people that are ethnically similar to me, which also has pros and cons. But I'm not an ethno-nationalist. I'm not a nationalist. I don't really concern myself with stuff like that because I look at myself as an individual. If I got deported to Africa, I think I'd still be successful in Africa. But if I can make a choice of where to live, I would choose to live in the place I think is the best, which is the USA. So, but I think, yeah, it's pretty obvious that Africa has a lot of issues, and I would love for Africa to not have a lot of issues. And if Africa and where my family are from didn't have a lot of issues, then of course I'd go and move there, right? Safa says, why is that? We already know the answer. I think the reason why is because historically Europeans have had great ingenuity and they've created better technology, and with that technology they've been able to conquer other peoples, and by conquering other peoples they've been able to monopolize their resources, and because they've been able to monopolize their resources they've created infrastructure systems, things that have allowed them to prosper, perhaps at the expense of others, but also as a result of superior ingenuity. So I think if Africans did the same thing, then Africans would be prosperous. And I don't doubt that there has been times in history where Africans have been prosperous. We don't have a full historical record going back in detail for like 100,000 years. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to live in Africa, but I don't really believe in nation borders other than for the purposes of argument or debating systems, which of course are not actually physically real. So yeah. Anyway, let's move on.
So before I even say why I was going to do this, I apologize for him being racist to you, because that's not all right. That's not okay.
Oh shit, I shouldn't be vaping. Yeah, I'm not really concerned about that.
And also I just want to point out as well, I am a white woman. I do not read books because I'm dyslexic. So books have absolutely nothing to do with it. But the main reason why I wanted to come on is like, why do you think the USA is better than the UK?
I just think that it provides more freedom for its citizens. I think that the way that the economy is set up in terms of being slightly more deregulated, having more diversity of option for people, I just think it results in people being more prosperous and having better lifestyles. And I also think the geography of the United States contributes to that as well. It's a bigger place with more major cities, more opportunities, and I think a lot of British people would do well if they moved to the USA.
Okay, what about like the likes of like, our kids being safer, in a school in the UK, and like there are tornadoes and like there's wars and all that kind of stuff, more along that kind of line of it?
I mean, you could look at it like, let's say if you did like a percentage of like how safe the average kid is, I'm sure the average kid is less safe in the United States, but if you talk about the likelihood of something like violent happening to a child, you're talking about like a 0.0001 likelihood versus like a 0.004 likelihood. Do you know what I mean? So like, because of that, it's just an increased risk that I'm willing to accept.
Yeah, and you're from the UK, yeah?
Yeah, I'm from the UK. I'm from London.
Would you move to America?
In a heartbeat.
You would?
Yeah.
I can see there is benefits, you know, America, like, obviously they've got the weather for the first instance, like, you know, I'm not against either or. I live in Northern Ireland, so whether you want to call it UK or not, I hate the place. Like, us white women are actually more of a threat to white men, you know, and that's being said as a, you know, a white woman. Like,
Why do you think white women are a threat to white men?
No, sorry, like, so we're more being harmed by a white man than we are a black man.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, that's the word I meant, yeah. And I'm pretty sure there was a statement put out that women in Northern Ireland are probably, they're not safe, as I would say put it, in Northern Ireland because of how bad the white men are coming off these days, and that's obviously me not being racist. I'm a white woman myself. Whether you're white or black, whenever you do wrong, you should be punished as and when. But I just feel like the more violence and stuff in America is a bit more. Obviously, I would move to certain parts of America. Like, I think they are really, really nice, and the people are lovely.
But don't you think
probably a lot more
white women?
nice than over here?
White women are like the safest people in the entire world. So like, I don't think that you're not safe in Northern Ireland or America or the UK. I don't think there's any group of people safer than white women.
Well,
I mean,
no,
if there
I
is,
wouldn't
let
say
me know.
anybody is safer, but I just mean in the perspective of just how bad it is in Northern Ireland for, like, obviously sexual assault and, you know, stabbings and, you know, domestic and things like that. Obviously it's the exact same everywhere you go, but I think it was just highlighted because Northern Ireland, I would say it's a small place. It's because it's a small place and it's happening so much. Like, you know, I'm from Bangor. You can walk down the street of Bangor and you can never be seen again. Like, obviously, again, I know it's, you know, UK, Northern Ireland, America, it's all the same, but I just feel like there was just be more. Yeah, there's just less. You know, obviously, as I say, the school shootings, and then obviously we don't get anything like tornadoes and all that kind of stuff over here. And then obviously our houses, if we were to have a tornado, I would think that they would stand better than what they are in America. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I always thought that our houses were built a lot better too.
I suspect that a lot of the houses in those places are built like that, so that if a tornado happens or a hurricane happens, they can be rebuilt easily. I suspect that. I haven't actually ever confirmed that, but that's. And I think the way that they do like their HVAC as well is that they just have different like building codes and stuff like that. But they have like brownstone houses and stuff in places like Philadelphia and New York and stuff like that, where they have. I think they have hurricanes sometimes in New York, but they don't have as many natural disasters as like Florida or like Oklahoma or Texas and stuff like that.
Right, okay. Yeah, no, that's all I wanted to come on and say. Just I just wanted to kind of get my kind of your side off it as to why you think obviously America is so much better, but obviously you have stated why, and yeah.
It's kind of like a matter of opinion and preference. Like, I would much rather live in like a deregulated place. But I think the problem is a lot of people in the UK, their perspective on the USA is based on misinformation or based on tragic things that have happened that, you know, because of how culturally influential USA is. Every time something happens there, we hear about it. When terrible things happen in India and a lot of other places, oftentimes we don't hear about it. USA has a massive freedom of press, a lot of journalists, everyone's got an iPhone, everyone's talking, massively culturally influential. So we do hear a lot more about the terrible things that happen there, and then it forms our opinion, informs our opinion, and it can make us biased. So I, as someone that really likes USA and really thinks that you know, it's provided a lot for the world, and I think that it's one of the best governance systems ever created. How they've like the constitutional republic that they created. I like the laws. I just think that the way that people shit on the USA, I don't think oftentimes is justified. And I like to, because I'm like obsessed with the USA, I like to talk about like a lot of the pros versus the cons, so that people can like have the other side of the argument.
I think a lot of people had a high opinion on America is because of obviously who rules it. A lot of people have a high opinion on Trump. I think that's why there's a lot of controversy between the two.
Possibly, but people have been hating on America in Europe for a long time now. It's been like
Even before Trump?
yeah, of course. It's been. I mean, I
Yeah.
think Europeans liked Obama, but I guess I don't know. Maybe it is influenced by Trump. Like, obviously, Trump's politics are very different from what the average European supports. Like, average European, they're kind of like pro-socialist in a sense, I'd say. So, and Trump, I would call Trump like a classical liberal, maybe. So, yeah, but obviously his rhetoric is more incendiary and appeals to the political right more. So I can see why people in Europe have an issue with Trump, but Trump is not the totality of what America is, in my perspective.
Yes, okay. Yeah, no, I completely understand and get that. I think it's more of a thing now because Trump is in power, and obviously everything that has been said, obviously we don't know if it is true or not, but it's just the allegations of him towards women and him starting wars over him not getting his own way type thing. But obviously I've never read too much into it. I'm not really that invested.
Yeah.
But as I say, I just wanted to come on just to kind of see your kind of opinion on it and your side of it, because obviously you've just come up on my FYP and I thought, I would just see what the crack was because I'm nosy.
Okay. Well, let's move on then and see if we can get some other people's opinions then. Appreciate you coming on.
No worries. Thank you.
All right, take care. What's up, Shan24? Shan, you there, mate? Otherwise, we'll try to see if we can move on to someone else. I'll just bring someone else up in case you don't speak. Okay, let's move on. What's up? Oh, she dropped down. We got a lot of guest requests, but I'm not sure which ones are able to accept. Guys, if you've requested, request up again if you want to speak. Let's read some of the comments, actually. The sign is facing the wrong way if you're saying the UK is better. I didn't make this picture, but I find it funny that people get mad that the sign's upside down, so I just left it like that. Both the USA and the UK have very high salary than many other countries on earth. That's true. I've never said I think the UK is bad or the USA is bad. I just think the USA is better. Great topic. Thank you. Appreciate it. You think so? I hate America for us, American. Well, I don't know where you like. I mean, if you hate America, I can see how people can hate American foreign policy. I can see how people can hate certain politicians and their rhetoric and stuff. But to hate America, it's easily top 3 places in the world to live. I mean, I just don't see how anyone could really argue that, unless there's just something about it, I just hate the grid system, I just hate the dollar, I just hate fucking. I know it's such a diverse place. If you had to give me your top 3 countries in the world, I think to not put America in, that'd be kind of nuts, bro. Mate, let's say top 5, America's not in your top 5 countries in the world. That's kind of crazy, bro. That's kind of crazy. Some of these people would never travel out the US. Vitamin C says, I know you have your opinions. I'm just saying both have high salary. Yep. Comparing the USA and the UK is crazy. America is huge. It's 40 times bigger. But that's my point, is that how can people think that the UK is better than the USA when it's like a little pipsqueak compared to it? How high healthcare, high gas prices, high mortgage prices, high rent. So rent is actually lower per square foot in the USA. Healthcare prices as a percentage of salary are similar, and gas prices are 4 times higher in the UK. And mortgage prices, I mean, that's similar to rent, isn't it? In terms of, I'm pretty sure the cost of housing is lower in the USA. So everything you just said was wrong. That's crazy. We basically have everyone's culture in the US. True. Best place to live in is Texas by far. Lived in 12 states, none come close to Texas. I would live in Texas. I'm planning to move to the southeastern United States, but only because Texas is too far inland, and I think it might be too hot for me. USA is better in terms of culture. In ways. American from Ohio here. It seems to me that the States is every good part of every culture mixed. Yeah, I think so. But then obviously on top of that, you have the common law heritage of the UK, which they've kind of expanded into their legal system, and court and political system, which also heavily influences, obviously because they create the laws, that heavily influences the lifestyle culture, because that stuff is also downstream from laws. And one of the main manifestations of that is the gun culture. So a lot of that stuff, while it is, you know, I guess a melting pot in a way of different cultures, the heritage culture from Britain is one of the things that makes the USA one of the greatest countries in the world, if not the greatest. The problem is that the UK has deviated from its own common law tradition, and then I think, as I say, America has better implemented the common law system. Cutie Patatis says, I'm sorry, why is the UK better than the US? You have black Africans and Caribbean people. What? Oh, you're saying the black people in the UK are Africans and Caribbeans? Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how that's relevant. The problem is that before you die, you'll find yourself living in a Muslim country. I don't see it. I don't think Muslims are going to take over the UK. I think that they'll increase their political influence, but I think that they will liberalize and become more milquetoast with their opinions, similar to how Christianity did. But I do think that they'll have significant political influence in the next 40 years. But I don't think it'll be like, oh, we're advocating for Sharia law like a lot of people think. I think they'll just like either be a new iteration of the new Muslim representation will be either something that echoes the left-wing tradition or the right-wing tradition, or they'll just filter into both of those political traditions. I don't think that they're going to create like some Sharia system in the UK. I just don't see it. The main threat in the UK, I'd say, is the threat from the political left. And then also you see some, and this is another American export, on the political right, where people are advocating for more surveillance, more identification, more border control, which also can be like a Trojan horse for a more like Orwellian state. So that seems to be one of the main threats from the political right, is the Orwellian, the Trojan horse of Orwellianism that's being pushed through, I guess, the immigration rhetoric. What else is a threat in the UK political right? I mean, the UK political right, I would argue, is kind of even non-existent, because the political right, I mean, you got people like Rupert Lowe, you got people like who's that guy, Jacob Rees-Mogg. No, Rupert Lowe doesn't talk about Americanized right-wing politics. There's another guy. He's on I'm trying to remember what that thing's called. I think it's UK Thought something. It's like this channel that Jacob Rees-Mogg is always on. Let me see if I can find it. But yeah, there's not many people in the UK that advocate for an American-style right-wing politics. But I think Jacob Rees-Mogg does. Hold on. It's called like UK Thought something, or I can't remember what it's called, the channel. Anyway, let's get someone else on. Jay says, "Lol, silly communist UK. You people can't even defend yourselves from danger." I mean, that's true, isn't it? Wait, who said let me on? Yo, it's me, your best bud. Okay. D says most people who hate America are struggling. No, there's actually such thing as the champagne liberal. Those kind of people hate America, but they're doing very well for themselves. What's up, yo? It's me.
My man, your comment about your hope for the Muslim population becoming liberalized. I'm just curious, what other country can you point to that had such a large influx of Muslim immigrants, where those Muslims in fact liberalized as opposed to took over the political ideology of the country?
So
there were not 60 Muslim countries 50 years ago.
Okay, good question. So it depends, and I'm glad you challenged me on this. So it depends on, when you say large influx, I'm assuming you don't mean, are you talking about as a percentage of the overall population? Or are you saying in raw numbers? You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I didn't
you
hear
lose
what
me?
you were saying before, but I was asking, when you say large influx, are you talking about
Yeah.
as a percentage of the overall population or in raw numbers?
I mean, you pick, because
Okay.
it's not going to matter given the birth rates of the Muslims relative to the
Okay,
native Brits.
here's why I think it matters. So I think it matters because in a lot of places where you've had Muslims take over the country, and Muslims literally without inverted commas take over the country, you've had it where they become the dominant force through force or warfare or conquest historically. When you look at places like the United Kingdom and the United States where you've had Muslim immigration, obviously Muslim immigration is percentage-wise higher in the UK, those Muslims have adapted more liberal views. Now, I'm not saying they're as liberal as like white liberals, but they are on some issues. But I'm saying because of them.
Well, wait,
because
on
hold on.
what basis
I'm saying
you
because
determine-
hold on.
but-
I'm saying
but,
because
yeah,
hold on. Let me just
before we
finish.
go
Let me
too
just finish.
far.
Let me just finish the point. I'm
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
saying
Go ahead.
because they are immigrating into a dominant culture as opposed to immigrating as the dominant culture or conquering the culture. I think they're more likely to become diluted by the dominant population. You respond.
On what basis do you make the statement that they liberalize? You said that if not by war, you made a claim. I'm losing the exact way you phrased it.
So I was saying a lot of the examples of Muslims becoming a majority have been through war, conquest, or them, jihad, or them becoming like 60% of the population in like 10 years. Whereas what you're seeing in the United States, America, Europe is more of a slow influx over time of them. I'm not saying that they're as liberal or as leftist. I'm not saying it won't cause political issues. I'm not saying all their views are compatible. I'm saying I think that long term there will be the political faction of that represents Islam will be a more liberalized or watered down version of Islam than what you see in other countries where they've either conquered it or had war or come in as a vast majority over a very short amount of time.
Can you point to an example in history or a country where what you hope has been true?
Yes. So if you look at, for example, black immigrants into the UK, they tend to have much more
I mean
liberal.
specifically with respect
To Muslims.
with respect to Muslims. Can you name an example of a country where that has happened before?
Yeah, it's happening now in the United States and in the UK. If you poll Muslims on their belief system, they have much more liberal belief systems than Muslims in the Middle East and Asia.
I don't think so, man. I think any poll results that I've read from the amount of Muslims that would, if they had the opportunity, enact Sharia law, those numbers are staggeringly high. I think it's in the 70s or 80s. Like it is a vast majority. It's part of the religion, the culture, the belief system. It's not a religion the way Christianity is. It's all inherent in the belief is a political ideology.
I agree. And I'm not pro-Muslim and I don't agree with their belief system. But I think when you say 80% of them are in support of Sharia law, see, a lot of people do this thing with Muslims where they don't give them the benefit of the doubt. So Sharia law, obviously, if you take it at face value, yeah, it's clear what Sharia law is. It's clear what their holy book says. But remember, religious people can often have cognitive dissonance. So, for example, you can look at their holy book and be like, this clearly allows you to marry little kids, right? But then if you ask Muslims, do you think it's right to marry little kids? Most of them don't believe that. They have a cognitive dissonance, right? So their book says it, fact, but they don't actually believe it. They hold cognitive dissonance. So I think it's the same with the Sharia law thing. You ask them, are you pro Sharia law? Well, they're going to say yes because their book says Sharia law good. But if you ask them about the implementation of thereof, do you think that we should have separation of church and state? Do you think that homosexuals should be thrown off bridges? Do you think that people should be beheaded if they don't believe in our belief system? They will say no. So they have contradictory beliefs. When they say yes to Sharia law, I don't think that they mean those things. Do you understand? They don't mean we think that we should behead infidels. We think we should throw gays off buildings. They're more liberalized.
I'll make this point, and then I'm going to have to let you go and you can discuss after the fact. But here's the thing. There are dozens of Muslim countries today where you can look for the evidence based on actions of what they believe. I think that nor you or I, asking them the question, I don't think we're going to get the true answer. I think all you have to do is, I think that they're very savvy. In fact, the Quran allows them to lie in order to fulfill on their agenda. I think there's many definitions to the word jihad. I think they've employed it politically by finding, ironically, a home with the liberals, that somehow they've created this oppressive narrative, which has just landed with the liberals who are fighting for their cause.
But that kind of goes. But that kind of also goes to my point a little bit. Why did they find a home with the liberals?
Ask them.
But that's the point. Is like, why did they find home with the liberals? They find home with the liberals because as a minority group, they have a different experience of being in a dominant culture than as a majority group. That's one. And two, you can also look at many Muslim countries that have liberalized, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman. Like all of these countries have a liberalized, watered down version of Islam.
Well, I'd say I'd say that's a bit of a stretch. There's certainly a spectrum. Number one, and number two, there's no gay pride parade going on in Dubai.
No, there's no gay pride parade, but they're not
so
they're not throwing gays off.
spectrum.
But they're not implementing what the Quran says to do to gays in.
But it is illegal to be gay in Dubai. It is in fact illegal. It
Yeah,
is
that's
against
correct.
the law.
Yeah, that is true. But then you also have African countries that have a Christian majority where it's also illegal to be gay. So there's different people take their religion and interpret it in a more extreme or more conservative manner. And I'm not saying that there isn't radical Islam. I'm not saying that they don't take their belief system and implement it in a radical way in many places. I'm saying in the UK and America, in Western Europe, I don't think that they're going to be successful implementing their belief system in that manner. And I think that they will have to, if they want any political influence, I think that they'll have to water it down and liberalize, which you already see them doing now.
Well, in order to gain power in these days, yes. Because if you look at the number of mayors across the UK that are Muslim, and you watch how they rule, they are not enacting Sharia law openly because they're playing the game according to the rules today.
I don't think so.
However, if you just look,
they're just liberal Muslims. I think people forget, especially Americans. It's not that I hope; it's that the evidence is there. Like I grew up with liberal Muslims, like Sadiq Khan. He's a liberal Muslim. I'm not supporting Sadiq Khan, but these people, there are liberal Muslims. You guys just maybe don't. You think that all Muslims are radicals, but they're not. Like a lot of Muslims are like. I've dated a girl that wore full hijab. I've dated another girl that was Muslim. Like there are liberal Muslims. Like they're not all like super by the book. Their beliefs get watered down over time.
Well, you would hope, but I don't think the evidence across the Muslim world supports that hope. Number one, and number two, I think that even 15 years ago. The world was a very different. I don't know how old you are or how long ago you dated these women, but the world the change has accelerated certainly over the last 5 years, and the amount of immigration over the last 5 years has changed. The things are moving quite quickly, particularly in Europe. I'm in the U.S., but happen to be from Canada, where we've let in a large number of people from Muslim countries. And when you look at the issue is that when you look at the Muslim birth rates relative to the native population, it is only a matter of time before the numbers turn. And when they do, then you'll see truly, were you hopeful and correct in that Muslim watered down and became more liberal? And I think actually there's been studies as well that I can't quote, but the dilution of Islam and within immigrant communities relative to the integration of other cultures, like let's say from China or India and non-Muslim immigrants, they actually tend to hold on to their traditions, culture, and values more than any other group of immigrants. So you've got two things colliding. You've got these birth rates that are going to tip the scales. It's a matter of time in Canada, the UK, Europe. It's only a matter of time before the local populations are taken over by the immigrant populations.
We're estimating that. That's assuming that the white birth rate remains low.
Assuming
because birth rates also can go in the opposite direction. They can decline with economics.
Yeah, but the decline has been a trend over a long period of time, and so it's not like it just started.
But there's also we also see a decline in birth rates among Muslim populations and black populations,
but it's still 2 or 3 times depending on where you look at.
Yes, you're correct. As it stands now, if the trend continues, yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to your point, the U.S. Is better than the U.K. I happen to agree. I think that is spot on. Now living in the U.S., coming originally from Canada, not the U.K., but a certainly British colony with shares lots of the culture.
Yeah.
And I think that particularly in Europe, watching it from over here, man, it just seems inevitable. And I think that the uprising that's happening now from the local populations is a wonderful thing. I think it's already too late. I think you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Don't you think that, I am pivoting a little bit, but don't you think that it is essentially just because white people are just having less kids? Like, why don't they just have more kids? It doesn't really seem like, it seems like a pretty easy thing to solve. It's like,
yeah, but it's not, because you have so many factors. You've got economic realities. Fact is that you've got immigrant populations who have come from what Donald Trump so eloquently referred to as shithole countries. You have a different standard of living in these immigrant populations than you do in native populations. You'll see 3 families living together in a house. So socioeconomic pressures don't play themselves out the same way in new immigrant communities as they do with the
but
native
I'm saying
population.
white people could also do that stuff. They choose
But
not
they don't,
to.
because it's not their no, but it's culture. They won't.
But
they could, but they won't.
But that's what I'm saying.
They didn't
like,
grow up in a house with all their cousins the way that some of these immigrant populations have. So,
but I'm saying
there isn't
it's
a
easy.
barrier.
I'm saying it's easy, but historically, culturally, like that was a thing in Europe. If you go back 100 years ago, so
Yes.
if there's some kind of resurgence of heritage. British culture, which I'm totally for the people that actually follow that culture, because I'm not a heritage Brit, right? But if that resurgence did happen, it does seem like that would be an easy fix to the moral panic, right?
I'll say this: possible, not probable.
So, what's easier, fostering family values and trying to increase the birth rate among the native white populations, or what is the alternative? Forcibly removing millions of Muslims.
But I think this is. Look, man, what's the alternative? I think it's too late for Europe. I think it's too late for Canada. I think that the nationalist movement in the U.S. is the only thing. I think aggressively hunting down and removing illegal immigrants in the U.S. I think look at Poland as a shining example of having a tight immigration policy where they were fined €1 million a day.
But most of the immigrants are legal immigrants. So that seems logistically more difficult to solve,
which is why I think
fostering
Europe's
family values among.
Europe's cooked, Canada's cooked. The numbers play out. You throw it in a spreadsheet, and it's actually inevitable. It's not that there is the potential to turn this around. I think that's the issue that Western Europe is facing. I think it's the issue. They can pass laws, like Italy just put forward a proposal in front of Congress where it made hijabs and burqas illegal, and that anybody who was stopped by the police had to remove their face coverings and identify themselves. Otherwise, they're subject to a $3,000 fine.
That's silly.
Without religious or cultural exemptions.
Yeah, but
So
that's
you
kind
could
of
say
silly,
it's-
though, isn't it?
I don't know, because now you're forcing integration, which is the whole concept in the Western world behind immigration. It's immigrate.
I totally disagree.
And assimilate.
I totally disagree. I think the Western heritage is based more on individualism, freedom of expression, things like that. And I think that forcing cultural integration is the antithesis of freedom of expression. And that would make us more similar to those kind of cultures which force cultural integration. And if someone wants to have a different religious belief, that's on them. I think their religious belief is stupid, by the way. I think it's ridiculous.
Well, there
they
you
believe
go.
that
There
Muhammad
you go.
flew to
Now-
heaven on a horse. It's dumb, but I think they have the right on a angel horse,
A winged horse.
Yeah, right. But I'm allowed to think it's stupid, and they're allowed to practice it. And I feel like obviously you can see the Achilles heel of liberalism, which obviously everyone to some extent has some liberal beliefs if they believe in freedom of expression, whatever. Those are liberal heritage principles, and talk about Milton and all of these people, right? But at the end of the day, that is an Achilles heel. But I think that Achilles heel is, I'd rather that than people trying to enforce cultural integration. So it depends where on that spectrum you lie. Like, it's great to have cultural integration, but I mean, come on, as an American, you believe in the First Amendment, right?
Well, first of all, I'm a Canadian living in America.
Okay.
Second of all, I
Are you pro
enjoy
First Amendment?
Absolutely.
So come on, bro.
But I'm
You
also
think that it's right for a state to enforce whether people can cover their fucking face or hair?
if we have a debate about good ideas and bad ideas, and there is a difference between religions and their ideologies, and if we're allowed to have that honest discussion and determine as a society that there are...
Oh, you gone quiet, mate.
have to be able to exclude bad ideas, and covering your face in public in a Western culture, the culture itself, the home culture, has to be able to make that determination that in this country, for our people, that is not the way we want our society to function.
I will.
So, absolutely.
I'm happy for you to have that perspective. If you would also recant that you're pro First Amendment, because if you're saying, well, let's do a constitutional amendment and say this is the culture that we want to enforce, then that's a different discussion to saying I'm pro First Amendment. But even though I'm pro First Amendment, if you do something culturally that I disagree with, then I think that the state should enforce sanctions against you. Those are contradictory beliefs. You would agree with that, right? That those are contradictory beliefs. You're muted right now, by the way. I don't know why, but I can't hear anything that you're saying. But yeah, anyway, I'll just, because I can't hear him. I think he's back. You there?
I don't know why that muted.
Yeah.
Look, I think that in 2026, that for countries within Western Europe and Canada, that the single biggest threat to those civilizations is mass immigration from Muslim countries. I think that threatens the fundamental fabric of the West. I think Islam is incompatible with Western values. And so I'm in support of legislation that protects those values in the face of an unprecedented threat on those countries, socially, politically, economically. And I think that we have plenty of evidence of how Muslim countries have operated in the world that makes that true. You can't point to a Muslim country where they're caught outside of the oil states, which are the exception, not the rule. You can't point to a Muslim country that anybody from the West would want to move to for a better life. And in fact, what is offered in the Western
Morocco?
world for many of the...
Morocco.
I don't, you picked one. There's 50, how many?
You
58?
excluded the Gulf states, so you've already got rid of like 7, right?
Okay,
Morocco,
so
Oman, United Arab Emirates.
Let's give you 15 out of the 50 odd.
Okay, I need to
Let's
get
give you
let me get a list of all Muslim countries, right?
Yeah. And I'm not a Muslim country expert.
Neither am I. That's why I'm deferring to the search engine, right? Okay, it says there's 46 Muslim countries in the world. Hold up.
Let's get rid of 20% of those.
Okay,
as being exceptions.
Hold on. Where's the full list? I've already seen a few that I think would be okay to. Okay. So, I mean, we're going to define Muslim country by what? Over 50%?
Sure.
Okay. So, Albania's 50.7%. I won't go with that one. Let's say what we got. Apparently, Lebanon used to be quite nice to live in before the war ramped up. Bahrain, United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman. Those are all decent to live in.
Well, by what standard are you moving there? Alcohol's illegal. I don't know if you enjoy a drink from time to time.
I would live in Oman or the United Arab Emirates. I don't really know much about Bahrain and Kuwait, but I would live in Oman for sure. I mean, I wouldn't see. The thing is, it's kind of paradoxical because the reason why I wouldn't live in some of these countries is because they don't believe in freedom of speech. So I'm kind of big on freedom of speech. So I agree with you there with regards to that part of their belief system is incompatible with Western ideology. But I think the argument that, I mean, I'm not even necessarily disagreeing with you. Like, obviously, yeah, most of these countries, Morocco is one, I guess you could live in. Most of these countries, majority Muslim. yeah, I don't think I'd want to live in them. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. But I also stand by my previous argument that these countries, I think that the way that they became Muslim was through conquest. Most of them, in fact, almost all of them, and I think it's manifestly different from immigrants immigrating to a country. Because remember, immigrants that go to a certain country, they're biased towards that country. There must be something about that country that they somewhat agree with. In a sense, a lot of the immigrants from these places might be the more liberal people in their society. Does that make sense?
Well, I think that was true back when, let's say, immigrants moved across the ocean to, find America. And nowadays, I don't know that that's true. You look, I've seen folks in the UK interviewed Muslim folks, and they asked, if you want to be in a Muslim country so badly, why did you move to the UK? And the interviewer said, well, because it's full of Muslims. I want to go somewhere where there aren't Muslims so I can tell people about Islam and have them convert. It's a proselytizing religion. It's one that aims to convert the population. So it doesn't need to be by military conquest. The number of Muslim converts is absolutely insane in the Western world. You have people who are searching for meaning and community. Muslim populations provide that. So, I can see the pull. Lots of people get pulled into it and convert. And so it doesn't have to be through physical kinetic war. They can do it through culture, politics, and birth rate.
When you say threat, though, can you describe what you mean by threat? Are you saying that there's an existential threat to the culture? Are you saying there's a physical threat to white citizens? Or are you saying it's just because if it's a threat to the culture, I mean, cultures evolve and change in general. Obviously, if those people in the future end up being heavily influenced by Muslims and they adopt a lot of their belief systems, then I guess they wouldn't really feel like they're threatened, would they? They'd probably share sympathy with.
Look, I'm not a Middle East expert, but I can imagine that we could probably go on ChatGPT and find lots of examples where you saw Christian and Jewish populations in previous Middle Eastern countries that were not Muslim, that once they turned Muslim were forced to either flee, evacuate, leave. They were persecuted.
Yeah.
So I think that the threat becomes that when the history has shown us that when Muslim populations take over a country, nobody else is safe.
When they take it over through what? Do we have examples? So let me flip your question.
Lebanon was largely a Christian. Lebanon was largely had a huge Christian population.
Didn't they have a coup though? Didn't they have they were literally conquered? They went from 20. What happened in Lebanon? Because didn't they have them guys they got conquered, right? Like they had a what do they call it?
Look over a 75-year timeline in the Middle East, and look at the Jewish population in Muslim countries, and watch the numbers dwindle. What's it called? Iran had a huge Jewish population. Iraq had a big Jewish population. Lebanon, all these countries. The problem is that when Muslims take over, nobody else is welcome. That's the threat.
It says
that is the single threat. That's what I'm talking about. Anyways, look, it's been fun. I gotta run.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the time, man. Great jam.
Great chat. Nice speaking.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, guys, I was trying to look up what was that thing that happened in Lebanon. They had a new Muslim government, right? And then the guy that was leading it, he was super, he was a cleric or something. He was super he put all of these Muslim reforms. I don't know, man. I just think, from my understanding experience of British Muslims, to me, they seem to be way more liberal than Muslims from other countries. I don't see why that trend wouldn't continue if the immigration continues. The argument, I guess, in counter to that is once they get to a certain population majority, then they'll become more radical, which is entirely possible. I'm not disputing that. But hey, anyway, I've got to go, guys. For some reason, my phone's not charging. My battery's low. Great conversation, everyone. Follow me if you enjoy the conversations. We're live streaming on Kick, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. And we go off topic a lot. So if you guys want to question me on anything, next time I come on, we can chat. Peace.